Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard. Man, it feels great to be live and chopping it up with the fam one more time, man. Y'all know what it is, man. The best television show not on TV. It has been, for me, an extremely quick off season, man. I'm going to keep it funky with y'all. I've been loafing. This whole summer, I've been loafing heavy, man. I ain't even been grinding the way I've been supposed to be grinding. Working on a couple creative projects here and there, and that's about it. But it's great to be back, man, with my homie, my brother. Y'all know what it is, man. The strong side to my left side. Let me bring him in one time without further ado, man. The Beard is in the building. What's poppin', fam? How you living?
Man, it feels so good to be back. We've been working really hard these last couple of weeks.
No lie.
When that red live button went on, I was like, it's good to be back. It's been a wild summer. I did get married. It's been a while since you guys have seen
over there.
me. I did get married. Shout out to my beautiful wife, Josie. And we moved into our house finally. So, things have been a little wild with all of that going on, but and we are now the Washington Commanders. Last time we saw everybody, we didn't have a name. So Washington Commanders, married, house, Awthentik and The Beard is back. I mean, I'm going crazy right now. I'm super excited. We're so close. We're 48 hours away from the first real football game of the season, and then a couple days after that, the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders.
It's going to take a while.
We'll be playing some meaningful football, so it's great to be back. Shout out to everybody who's watching us right now on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, whatnot. So make sure you guys head on over to YouTube and check us out if you guys want to get in on the chat.
I'm looking forward to that Thursday game, bro. We talked about this off air a little bit. Like, for me, that's what should have been the Super Bowl last year. I know the Bengals story was all nice. They had a terrible offensive line, 9 sacks in the playoff game and all that, and they still managed to find a way to beat Patrick Mahomes, who completely fell apart in that fourth quarter of that game. But for me, the Bills and the Rams were really probably the two best teams in the league, and I probably would have liked to see that Super Bowl a little bit better. But my guy OBJ might not have a ring if that was the case, because Josh Allen was playing some lights-out football, and I think there's a reason why they're the favorites, on a lot of people's list to win this Super Bowl this year, because they've made upgrades. He's getting more comfortable in that system. I know they got a new play call over there, but I'm extremely excited for that Thursday night game. I wish it was a Giants game on Thursday night. I'll keep it funky. One of these years when we start Awthentik and The Beard, the Thursday night game is going to be like Washington versus the New York Giants, and it'll be extremely lit, man. But what's your thoughts on that game coming up, man? How you feel about it, and who you think is going to take the W?
I don't want to give away my prediction just yet, because, you guys are going to have to tune back in Thursday night for the prediction. But I'm excited. A lot of my excitement, though, obviously, too, is because of fantasy football. I'm excited to pop open that DraftKings app and put together a little lineup. I have some players playing in that game, as do you, it's going to be
we'll talk about that, too. But, I definitely got some players. That's my quarterback.
Look, I really want to see Cam Akers, because I've been a big Cam Akers guy since he got drafted, and then obviously he had the Achilles injury, at the beginning of last year. Came back in the playoffs, and I think some people have a bad lasting image of him from the fumble and stuff like that. So I'm kind of curious to see how they work that running back system between Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson.
A lot of people don't take this into consideration about Akers too. He did come back off the injury. That's one thing. But when Odell Beckham goes out in that game, if you go look at the sound effects from that game, they had to completely switch their game plan. They were going to make it where Odell Beckham was a primary focus in the offense, and then he ends up getting hurt. They had to move Cooper Kupp into his position and then try to rely on a running game, which wasn't the game plan. And Akers looked pedestrian. I mean, let's just keep it real. He didn't look like the same running back that we know he is previous to that injury. He's sporting that new number 3 again this year. He was supposed to wear it last year, and when he came back, he didn't wear it. So he's sporting that number 3. I don't know how that's going to work out. I know Odell was rocking that as well. They said Odell's locker is still there. So I'm looking forward to that game, man. That Thursday night game is going to be a great one. Y'all make sure to pull up for our Thursday night preview, too. That's going to be real fun. That's going to be like more of our traditional format. Today, we kind of focusing on some stats, man. This is going to be interesting, too, because NFC East has had a lot of changes. We got some new quarterbacks in the room here. We got some wide receivers who left. Speaking of Dallas, we got some wide receivers who popped in. Speaking of A.J. Brown with the Philadelphia Eagles, some upgrades, some downgrades for certain other teams as far as the weapons go. So we wanted to, pull up and do this show for y'all to kind of show like where we stand as far as the statistics go and give you a little bit of taste about where we feel as the records are going to be for the NFC East. I mean, last year we was way off. I think I had 9 or 10 wins for the Giants. I know you had at least 10 wins for the Washington, now known as the Commanders, formerly known as the football team, and we were both way off. Giants only ended up winning 4 games last year. Washington, would y'all win 6, I believe? 7 games last year. So y'all are kind of back-to-back years here now, 7 wins. I mean, y'all got into the playoffs with 7 wins that one time. But before we get off into the stats, man, I already see the chat is already booming. Shout out to everybody who's pulling up. Been waiting to hear that notification bell ring and say Awthentik and The Beard are live. We finally live here. So let's say what's up, man, to some people in the chats, man, and then we can, jump into the show without further ado, man.
So everybody already knows who the first person here was, right?
Oh,
Coach Taylor's in the building.
Coach Taylor is
in the building. What's going on, J-Mo? Good to see you. Big shout outs. Mac, the Giants fan, says, let's go. Time for the best show on YouTube. I see the biceps.
Appreciate that.
I see the biceps. Y'all are already throwing the biceps in the chat. Big shout out to Logic.
Fam is in the building.
Good to see you. Hey, Kalen Dragon is in the building.
56 is in the building. that was the number, right? It's been a little bit,
I think it was 56 for sure.
Shout out Kalen, man.
Big shout out to the homie Lucas checking in from Australia. Lucas hooked me up with this dope hat. So big shout out to Lucas. Good to see you, bud.
Hey, what was them little chocolates Lucas sent over, man? I can't remember the name of them. Them chocolates was fire, bro. Shout out to Lucas one time in the building, man. That's my guy.
Josie was loving the macadamias too.
Those were the ones, bro. Those the chocolate covered, man. Boy.
Oh man, big shout out to Waterfly in the building. Also, Edward Squires, the best GQ name on YouTube. Good to see you, my man.
Shout out Edward Squires in the building, man.
Kyle's in the building,
man. Yo, it's a lot of OGs, a lot of familiar faces I kind of forgot about throughout the year. Now I'm seeing these names, man. Shout out Kyle Key in the building one time, man.
JJ Stangle's in the building. Good to see you, JJ.
Stangle's in the building too. What up?
We got to give a big shout out to Cernock because Cernock hooked us up with some gear.
Facts.
He hooked us up with some gear. If you guys don't know Cernock's connection, find him on Instagram. He's got some of the dopest vintage hats, vintage T-shirts you will ever see. So definitely go check him out.
Yo, wait till y'all see some of these T-shirts I'm about to bless y'all presence with on this podcast that my man Cernock sent over, man. Some serious OG apparel. Oh, my OGs are going to love when they see this one shirt. I'm going to sport this one on Thursday. And the one that I'm wearing on the thumbnail, that's from Cernock as well. Shout out to Cernock, man, with the jersey vibes, man. I'm loving that. That's going to get a lot of wear out of my closet, man. So I'm looking forward to it. And we got to go down there and chop it up with him, bro. I need to see the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
We got to go shopping. He definitely left some there for us to check out when we come by. So we're definitely going to go ahead to Cernock's basement and do some shopping. I see Billy in the basement. Big shout out to my homie Jimmy, Old School Flips.
Squad.
I actually got to kick it with him in Tennessee, so big shout out to Jimmy. Always a pleasure. Big Play Slay is in the building.
Slay is in the building. Eagles Nation is in the building. The one representative we got, he's in the building. What's up, Slay? How you living, man? Hope all is well.
Stan, the Haitian OG, in the building. Big shout out to Stan. Good to see you, young man.
Sac passe, mon cher. Sac passe.
The Formula Fitness is here. Afghan Baby Oh Yeah is here. Diehard Giants fan is in the building. Big shout out to everybody. We see Chris Peace in the building. Sean G's in the building. Hey, big shout out to the Currys. The Currys stopped by over the years last night.
I saw them in the chat.
And then they came here to Awthentik and The Beard. So big shout out to the Currys. Appreciate you stopping by. I got to give a big shout out to my homie. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets, who I ran into on the street in my mom's neighborhood, which was mind-blowing. So big shout out to no Mets,
you gotta tell them the story of how it went down. Like you gave him the nod and it was
I seen him walking the dog and I seen him decked out in the Giants gear, looking like wide receivers coach for the Giants during training camp. And I said, man, I gave him a little head nod. I was like, I'm going to tell him about my podcast. And then he was like, yo. And he was like, it's no Mets, no Nets, no Jets. And I was
That's
like, wait,
so
what?
random, bro.
Had to jump out the car. It was crazy. It was crazy. So big shout out to him. I appreciate you. KHY001 is in the building.
Facts.
I mean, there's so many people here right now. I got to give a big shout out to Carol. That's Annie Bell. She came over from Whatnot. She's a huge supporter on the Whatnot family. So big shout out to Carol in the building. I mean, there's Matt Emery's in the building. I see Matt Emery, Perry Mack.
So much squad, man. We appreciate all of y'all pulling up this early, man. First show, man. Like, we back. We kind of expected it to be a little bit slow. Y'all right here, ready for the vibes, man. Ready to get this kicked off, man, with Awthentik and The Beard. I'm geeked, man. I'm very happy for this season to approach, man. And I always tell people, man, like, bad Giants football is better than no Giants football. This whole summer of just no ball, I'm glad it went by fast, which was really good for me. But, you know, it just seemed like every week we were kind of like, all right, podcast is here. It's 8 weeks away. It's 7 weeks. And it's just like, they're just flying by on us, man. And now we're here, man, and we got a whole gang of family in the building one time rocking with us for this show, man. So, oh, man, let's get to this quick super chat one time. The first of the season. Shout out to Kyle Key one time.
Big shout out to Kyle Key for the $9.99 super chat. Says, got to get the $9.99 on the first show of the season. Appreciate you, Kyle. My man, that $9.99.
So look, what we gonna do with the $9.99? I mean, we got no more Heineke. I mean, what we gonna do with the $9.99? We still gonna keep that thing alive or what?
We still got to go to $9.99. I mean, you know, Waterfly at some point is gonna want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Zach for the $1.99 super chat. Says, The Beard, what happened to Kirk Cousins? Hey, man, you know, listen, Kirk Cousins ain't my guy, never been my guy, always was an RG3 guy, but they dropped the ball on the Kirk Cousins whole situation. We wasted a lot of money, wasted a lot of time on that. It's crazy because Kirk Cousins' stats are actually pretty good stats. He's not the guy. He don't have the
I don't know, dog. The only thing I'll say about Kirk Cousins is he costs too much money. When you got your quarterback taking up that much of the cap, it's hard to build a defense around him or even put good players around him. It's surprising that they were able to find a guy like Jefferson and draft somebody like that who can immediately come in and be a factor, a number one wide receiver. I mean, not only for the team, but maybe in the league. I mean, Jefferson is going off these days. So it's hard to build a defense, and Vikings they're struggling with that defense. But I like Kirk Cousins as a quarterback, man. Them numbers, 30+ on the touchdowns, 10 below on the interceptions. I'm taking that all day. This sounds like a franchise guy, but it's like when you pay that franchise money, you want that Joe Burrow. You want that, you know, Patrick Mahomes. You want that real deal, and Kirk Cousins is kind of teetering that real deal. That's what makes it difficult for him.
Definitely. I got to give a big shout out to Pat. Pat's in the building.
Hey, salute to Pat, man. What's up, Pat? Hope you're doing well, man. We're going to jump on some Apex when this is all said and done. You already know what it is. That's my game. That's my guy, too. It's the reason why I'm a Giants fan. So salute to Pat one time in the building, man. All right, man. So are we ready to jump in? We ready to jump into these stats?
Hey, let's get it. Let's get this show popping.
Let's get this show popping. All right, let me give us a little more background vibes, you know what I'm saying, for the tunes and whatnot. All right, so we're going to start this off proper. We sticking to the script, Beard? Are we sticking to the script? Same order?
Sticking to the script.
We're going right at it. We're going right at my guy. Y'all know what it's been, man. I've been talking about the quarterback position with the New York Giants pretty much all the end of last season. And y'all, if you're a frequent of Awthentik and The Beard, you know I started off the season. I was super high on Daniel Jones. I was like, man, this kid's going to ball out this the year. The same stuff that some fans are saying this year, I was saying last year. This the year, you know, no more evaluation. You got the weapons. They signed Kenny Galladay, and then things just kind of exploded on us, and not in a good way. You know, this isn't like, you know, you threw the bomb on the bridge and you're walking away from an exploding bridge. This was like you were in the explosion. And now Kenny Galladay looks to be a guy that a lot of Giants fans want up out of here, which is kind of crazy to me. They're paying this guy a lot of money, you know, $70+ million. I believe it's a 4-year contract on just under $20 million a year. So for me, it's like, do we wait and see what's going on with that? But with the quarterback position, we're going into this year, and a lot of fans are saying the same thing. I was a 30+ touchdown guy last year for Daniel Jones. That didn't happen, you know? So let's start it off now. I could let the cat out the bag. Easy. I'm going to start this off with your first stat prediction of who's going to be the passing leader for the Washington, I got to get this in my mind, Commanders. Football team was really programmed for me. So for the Washington Commanders. So we're going to start this off with your pick. I'm sure it's not Taylor Heinicke at the backup position. We're going to start this one off with Carson Wentz, newly acquired Carson Wentz, man, who played with the Colts last year. And the last time we saw Carson Wentz with the Colts last year, he was completely folding. He was folding. This dude put up a quarterback rating of 4.3 versus the Jaguars with everything on the line to go to the playoffs. The Colts had 9 wins going into their last 2 weeks of the season and ended up losing 2 straight, 1 to the Raiders, 1 to the Jaguars. I see the stats on the screen. People in the chat, y'all get ready. We're going to come to y'all in a second. But The Beard, I want you to explain yourself for this stat prediction that you got for Carson Wentz going on here for the 2022 season.
So to start things off, I'm going to, I am guilty of bashing Carson Wentz. Back when we were doing podcasts on a couch, pre-recorded with pennants and jerseys behind us, but
looking like Kyle Pizzle. Shout out my guy Kyle Pizzle one time. But we was looking like Kyle Pizzle's basement, the NFC East version.
Yeah, so it is. It's kind of crazy, obviously this happened, and it wasn't necessarily the guy that everybody wanted. It wasn't the quote unquote sexy quarterback pickup that I think Washington Commander fan base was looking for, and there's a lot of people that believe that, we probably overpaid for Carson Wentz, right? But Carson Wentz last year had a pretty good season. He didn't have the best season, and obviously there was some issues towards the end of the season. And we got to look at this. This is considering that these guys are going to be healthy the whole season, okay? Now, last year, Carson Wentz had some games that were kind of a little bit off. Okay?
I had to pull this one up. This is a good comment right here. He said the Beard drunk off that mayo. And if you know the Beard real well, this dude literally goes to McDonald's and be like, can I have extra mayo? Like 3 times extra. This ain't no 1 extra mayo. This is real mayo. That's what he said. He drunk off it with the 33 touchdowns and whatnot.
I've come off a little bit on my mayonnaise, but yes, there's a few games last year where Carson Wentz kind of had some really down games. So he had one game where he had 57 passing yards. I would believe that one was against the New England Patriots. He had a game of 106 yards, 148, 158, and 150. Ooh. So he had some really low passing games. So I think I kind of am going with the impression that he has more weapons here than he did in Indianapolis. He had Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman, and you guys know if you watch the parlay here on Authentic and The Beard every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you'll know that I am big on Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman. But Carson Wentz coming here, he has Terry McLaurin, he has Jahan Dotson, he has Curtis Samuel, he has Logan Thomas, and, Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick, and when Brian Robinson gets healthy. So there is, on paper, now mind you, everything is on paper right now, ladies and gentlemen. We ain't gonna know until we know. But on paper, he's looking like, what's my man's name from Superbad? The
McLovin?
Not McLovin, the bigger guy.
Oh, the bigger dude.
Seth Rogen, not Seth Rogen. Jonah
Seth
Hill.
Rogen. Jonah Hill. Listen, he's not that big no more.
He looking like Jonah Hill in the movie where he was slinging guns in the Middle East. Like there's weapons.
War Dogs. That was
War Dogs.
That was a good movie.
The Washington War Dogs right now with all these weapons
kinda
we got
sounds better
on paper.
Than the Commanders. I ain't gonna lie.
So I really I'm being optimistically realistic when we're talking about Carson Wentz and his season this year. So the 33 touchdowns, that's basically 2 touchdowns a game. That's kind of what I expect out of my quarterback is to have 2 touchdowns a game. Okay. I'm not, there's going to be games where hopefully he has 4 touchdowns. There's going to be games where he has 1 touchdown. Hopefully we don't have any of those 0 touchdown, 58-yard games. And I think, Scott Turner has the ability now to open up the playbook now that we have a quarterback that can throw the ball longer than, 35 yards. Because, there was times just last year where Taylor Heinicke was looking like me trying to throw the ball out on the football field with Awthentic the other day.
Okay, now let me give y'all a little bit of insight on this, okay? First of all, I need somebody to check up on Tim, the other Tim from Online Big Blue, and see if he really threw the ball 40 yards at the Giants preseason game. We was out there doing some photos the other day, and a little homie came up, wanted to throw the football with us, so we get to throwing around a little bit before we take off. I can chuck it a good 40 yards. Let's keep it focused. I can chuck it a good 40 easy. That 45, I got it like 1 out of maybe 10 times. That 50, it was coming up short just about every time. But the beard, you know, I'm starting to think you might be aging a little bit, bro. Them hands wasn't there. The throws was he was giving the ball to the kid to throw it back to me like, you know, he was playing quarterback.
It's the shoulder surgery. You know
sciatica. When did you have the shoulder surgery again?
Junior year in high school.
What year was that? 1990?
2001.
Yo, bro, that was 20 years ago you had surgery. Watch. You know injuries is a part of getting old. You know that, right?
Yeah, you know, but listen, this is the thing, though. When you hear that, when the lights come on, you know what I'm saying? And I'm ready to...
Adrenaline.
I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm good.
You know, you went from, like, when we do this Content Creator Bowl, you went from, like, a second-round draft pick. Now, the preseason I saw the other day, you kind of fell to like a fourth or fifth round pick, bro. Gotta keep it funky.
It's preseason. It's preseason.
It's preseason.
So it's preseason. But I have to have some faith in Carson Wentz. You know, like the way I look at these is I kind of trying to find a median, like an average between the best Carson Wentz and the worst Carson Wentz.
Right.
You know, so that's where I kind of came up with these numbers because I can feel, you know, there's a lot of doubt already about Carson Wentz. But you have to think about it like this. There at one point in time, which was not too long ago, Carson Wentz was an MVP caliber quarterback.
Yeah, that was that was the rookie year, right? Or was it the year after the rookie year?
No. It was the year before he had the year when they won the Super Bowl.
It's the second year, 2017. Yeah. He was drafted in 2016, so it was the second year. That was a long time ago, bro. You know, and I
5 years.
I can relate. 5 years in the NFL is a lot, man. Think of the top wide receivers in the game 5 years ago. It's not the same. 5 years ago, we were talking Julio, Antonio, Odell, you know, and now it's like a totally new batch of people. So, I mean, I do feel you. It's not that long ago for sure. He was playing MVP football, right? But at the same time, and I can't remember who taught me this theory. It's a content creator for sure, about removing somebody's best year, you know, and then looking at the stats. You know, I know it's a Giants content creator. It might be Entertainer. It might be Tim. It might be Bad Dog. I can't remember who it was. But pretty much saying, like, when you remove that year, and they used Leonard Williams as an example, like, you can't take the guy who has 12 sacks or 11 sacks one year and then every other year he's got 5, 6, 7 kind of vibes and think he's going to be an 11 sack kind of guy. So with Carson Wentz, the 2017, that's the year. And then to put a cherry on top of that, he got hurt.
Yeah.
You know, he couldn't finish it off. He couldn't finish it off to win the Super Bowl, and they had to rely on Nick Foles. Now, I agree with you when you say if you can get the better version of Carson Wentz, the good version, then he's in to win a lot of games. Last year, I don't know what version we got, and we talked about this off air a little bit too. When you look at some of the highlights that Carson Wentz put on tape last year, the dude has throws and games where he looks like a top guy. And then he's got games, you know, like that Jaguars game or like that Raiders game where you're just like, the hell are you doing? You go back, you look at Carson Wentz 2020, it's an anomaly how his MVP-like season was. In 2020, he had a horrible year before the Eagles got rid of him. He was sacked 50 times. Carson Wentz has never been sacked over 37 times in his career. He usually teeters around 30, late 20s and 30 for how many times he gets sacked, and he was sacked 50 times on a year. That in 2020, I believe he led the league in turnovers too because he was throwing hella interceptions. He had 15 interceptions, which is the most of his career. He only played in 12 games, so that's more than one interception per game. And that does not yield well for your team. And I think that's the question mark. You know, with I'm high on Carson Wentz a little bit here. And when you talk about the money, I like the money. The money is that they paid for him is really good. I think it was $28 million for 2 years. He's a zero cap hit after this year. So you could cut him next year, and it's not going to do nothing to the cap. So for me, if I'm a Washington fan, this is a win-win situation here with Carson Wentz because let's say he does play bad. I saw somebody in the chat say, you know, by middle of the season, Carson Wentz is going to be on the bench. If he does play bad and you put him on the bench going into next year, you're not going to lose no money anyway. So you're just taking upon an older contract. If you were to even franchise tag a guy in this day and age in the NFL or sign a quarterback that you think is going to win you some games, it's going to cost you more than $30 million.
Well, this is the thing, too. Is I mean, I don't see – listen, Taylor Heineke is Taylor Heineke. Are we really going to bench Carson Wentz for Taylor Heineke?
I mean, I don't think if you get an ugly – like you said, if you get that version of Carson Wentz that is the ugly version, He's a lot uglier than Taylor Heineke. A lot uglier. Bro, I think you forgot about that 2020 season.
No, I know. Trust me, I
Do
will
you remember
never
that
forget about
season
that
with
season
him?
because it was one of the worst seasons a quarterback has ever had in the entire.
So I'm
life.
only speaking on the actual floor. I'm not, a lot of Giants fans in our community, right? They like to make up these hypothetical floors and these hypothetical seasons. It's on paper. In 2020, dude was garbage. You talk about 2017, which was 5 years ago. 2020 was literally just 2 seasons ago, and he was hot garbage. Now you put him on one of the better teams in the NFL in the Colts, which that's my opinion. Even though the Colts didn't make the playoffs, to me they were a top 10 team throughout almost the whole year last year. You got 9 wins going into Week 15, and you can't finish it out to get into the playoffs, and you end up losing to the Jaguars. I know the Jaguars got their number, but that can't happen. And honestly, I look at the quarterback in that situation, right? When you got a guy like a Matthew Stafford and it's getting down to the crunch time where you need to get wins to get into the playoffs, he's going to do that for you, even if he was throwing a bunch of interceptions leading into the year. So it's unknown with Carson Wentz. I'm going to keep it real with you. The last time he was either playing great football or horrible football, he was playing horrible football. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. That is a very great point, but optimistically realistic. Speaking
optimistically realistic. I like it.
I feel like. Do you agree that he has more weapons offensively in Washington than he did in Indianapolis?
If you pull away the running back, that's another question mark, man. Because we know Michael Pittman. We know what he is, right? He's a solid wide receiver, teetering on being a number one. I think he's going to have a breakout year this year with Matt Ryan, quarterback.
I agree.
Right? We know Terry McLaurin is that guy. We do know that. Curtis Samuel, we don't know. Jahan Dotson, we don't know. Logan Thomas, solid at the tight end position. But will that be enough to say that the weapons are actually better than what's happening with the Colts? I don't know. I could argue that the Colts have better weapons, especially with the running back involved, man. Jonathan Taylor out there. Imagine, dog, I could run play action off Jonathan Taylor. Straight up, I'll be out that joint like, shoop, throwing great passes. People wouldn't even know I was going to throw the ball because you got a guy who put up like 2,000 yards last year. So for me, it's we're going to know within the first 4 weeks of the season what your weapons are going to look like. And don't forget last year when we did our opening show, we talked about who got the best weapons in the NFC East. You remember your answer? Yeah, you said the Washington football team. And I was like, bro, you crazy. The Cowboys had the best weapons last year. And I was trying to be a little bit, humble about it, thinking that Kenny Gowdy was going to come in and be a real number one, a threat. And this guy puts up like 500-something yards on the year and really didn't do nothing. None of the Giants wide receivers did anything last year. We barely got any touchdowns out of that group. So it's really a question mark for me as far as like these weapons going, are they going to make Carson Wentz a better quarterback? And I asked you about that in the pre-production meeting. I said, these numbers look better than his numbers last year, and he's arguably on a worse team.
But that's what I'm saying is that the more and more I think about it is on paper, he might be on a better team.
You think why on paper? The record shows that y'all were the better team.
That was last year, though. This year.
That was last year. So we'll see.
You're
and I got the Colts
a little bit
this
higher
year.
On the Colts than I am.
Oh, I'm high on the Colts, and I think the Colts are definitely winning 10 games this year. Like, definitely. Colts are going to be a problem this year. I think Matt Ryan's going to elevate them, and I think that whole the hype about Matt Ryan kind of like falling off, it reminds me of the Eli talk, but I think Matt Ryan actually looks a little bit better than Eli looked at the end of his career. He can still do some things. He really didn't have no weapons in Atlanta outside of Pitts for real, and they were trying to do things with Cordero Patterson. But I think it's going to be a big year for him. But we'll see. Like I said, 4 weeks into the year, we really going to know what your weapon's looking like. Jahan Dotson hasn't really shown like, oh, this dude's going to be that guy, kind of like George Pickens looks like he could be a guy. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, he's looked pretty good. I
just haven't seen the splashes in the preseason. Like no touchdowns.
I saw the splashes.
No catches. Really like not a bunch of catches or nothing. You see a guy like Pickens, people are like, man, he's rising up on fantasy boards and all that because he's scoring.
That's because he gave that dude the business on the line of scrimmage.
Oh, that and did you see the fade route touchdown?
Yeah,
man, my dude's nice. Go back and look at his tape. He's looking like a guy. And I'm a big Jahan Dotson fan. I wanted the Giants to draft him, so it's still a question mark for me. But we'll see. Where do you see yourself in line with my numbers on Carson Wentz? I'm taking the under on the touchdowns and the over on the interceptions, and I'm taking the under on the yards. So 2 out of 3. All of them I really got some beef with. To be honest,
you're going under on all of those.
Yeah, I think under on the yards. Yeah, the interceptions, he's going to throw more, and touchdowns, I'm going under.
Big shout out to Simon Coleman for the $10 super chat. Says, yo, let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome back, boys. Thank you very much, Simon. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming by and hanging out with us this evening. Definitely in the chat, let us know what you guys think Carson Wentz is going to do this season. Passing yards, touchdowns, and interceptions. Where's everybody in the chat on
people was
Carson
big hating
Wentz
on you, bro.
this year? I can see. I mean, it's like it's like flashing in my eyes. All of
I want to know where
like,
the chat would put
crazy.
the touchdowns. You know, like if you don't think it's 33, and let's just say he plays the whole season, like where do you see the touchdowns at? I think that's the more easier gauged, stat that we could probably come to. And I think the touchdowns will be around like 27. I'm gonna say 27. That's mine. 27. I see Big Pat's in the building one time too. He says Wentz at 25 touchdowns with 13 interceptions, just like you. So he's taking a push on your interceptions. I like that.
Well, here we go. They're rolling in now.
Hey, Blazing Saturday got a Jameis Winston-like year.
4,200. Oh, man. Billy Justice says 17 touchdowns, 12 and 11 games.
11 games. I mean, if you really think about it, that's not that unrealistic. That's a little better than Daniel Jones, who we going to get to next.
Oh, man. Here we go. Says, I appreciate the Beard's optimism, but come on, big shout out to Monique. We appreciate you.
Shout out to Monique.
Matt Emery's taking the over on all of them.
Big over Dash on knows. All of them? Hey, Matt, I got money on that. I got money on that.
27 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. That's
more
not too
realistic.
Crazy.
Yeah, more realistic. Yep.
I can see that. Mike K says we want to bring back the overreaction, underreaction, taking the zero, the overreaction.
Taking the O on this one. Yeah, this is overreaction. The Beard's whole stat line up here is overreaction. I got a couple myself, so I'm not going to hate on you too bad, bro.
The Get Back, big shout-outs, says
Ash Money in the building. What's up, Ash?
13 picks. Chris
27
says,
and 13. That's a good year for Carson, to be honest. In the NFC, where I feel like it's a worse team, that I like where Ash Money got the stats. That's pretty in line.
And big shout out. Everybody's coming in. 22 touchdowns, 9 picks. Big shout out to Mr. Mini Guy for the $5 super chat. Says, yo, Authentic and the Beard. That time of the year again. Let's go. Wearing my Brandon Jacobs jersey.
Nice.
Sunday, let's get it.
Man, I've been pressing to get a new jersey, but none of these players is really doing it for me, man. Like Thibodeau out here getting hurt on chop blocks. I like Kadarius Toney, but I need some proof. I didn't even buy an Odell jersey for myself. I bought a Odell jersey for my girl, and I didn't buy one for myself, and I kind of regret it. I'm gonna get me one now because, I do have an Odell jersey in the back. Shout out to the homie Nick DeWick who gave me the signed Odell Beckham jersey on season 1 of Authentic and the Beard. But I want to get one that I could rock. A lot of Giants fans, I seen it at games before. At the Washington game, I saw people wearing the Odell jersey, and people being like, "You got on an Odell jersey, man. Sit down." Saying that to people. And I'm like, bro, like, what happened to the whole once a Giant, always a Giant vibes? This is that only for certain players, man? Because I'm a big fan of Odell. It is only for certain players.
I don't know why, because there's a lot of hate going on right now on LeVar Arrington in the Washington Commanders community. But we'll save that for another time.
A lot of people hating on LeVar.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
LeVar's a good guy. I haven't seen him on TV doing his normal runs. Like he usually is a feature on a lot of shows, and I haven't seen him so far yet. But I do enjoy LeVar Arrington, and he's an ex-Giant too, so he's kind of got that sharing that 95 drive up top.
He's got a good show on the radio with Plaxico Burress and TJ Hushmanzada that I listen to.
I gotta check that out.
TJ Hushmanzada and LeVar Arrington.
Oh, yeah,
definitely
Plax, man.
a dope
I ain't
show.
seen that dude since he shot himself and cost us a repeat. But yeah, I'm still a big fan of Plaxico Burress as well too. I should get a Plaxico jersey. And I see somebody talking about the Brandon Jacobs jersey is solid. Yeah, Jacobs jersey, that's a solid one to have. Jacobs is my girl's favorite player too. She loved Brandon Jacobs, just seeing him running over people. And I saw Big Blue VCR posted the joint where Brandon Jacobs ran over LaRon Landry. That was a good one. That's a really good clip, man. Got to bring that back.
That is, you don't see that no more in the NFL.
Yeah, you do not see that kind of running no more. Most of the time, defenders going to make the tackle, but. So to wrap this one up here, so 33-13, 3,992 yards. Them yards is super high too, I feel like.
Keep the receipt. Carson Wentz, show me this year that I'm not crazy. This is me believing in my quarterback. Because you know me, it's hard for me to believe. I'm starting off the season on the right foot of believing in my players until otherwise shown. And listen, it might be a little bit of a rocky start. You know that because first game of the season, you know what I'm saying? New offense, new players, all that sort of thing. So don't be as surprised if you see, you know, like a 209, 1 touchdown, 1 pick game to start the year.
Okay. Not like a 125, 1-1, something like that. Nah.
No, none of those. Hey, big shout out to Lax 044 in the building with the $4.99 super chat. Says first show of the season. Glad you guys are back. Let's go Giants.
Big salute to Lax, man. Kept in touch on Twitter throughout the season, man. Yeah, I've been itching, man. I just been waiting. Like the last couple of weeks especially have been hell for me because it's like redundant conversations happening on Twitter, people arguing the exact same stuff. And we just need some football now, man. So now we finally got some on Thursday. And that's going to be the teaser. And then Sunday we got New York Giants football. We kick off at 4:25, the late window for the 4 o'clock games. Y'all are at 1 o'clock, I believe.
Yep, 1 o'clock kickoff on Sunday.
Definitely looking forward to that. Make sure y'all pull up for the parlay. We're going to be chopping it up fantasy-wise, man. Both of us got some pretty good teams. Even though I think the draft grade in our league for you was a little bit misleading. They put you at the bottom.
Oh, my fantasy league? Listen, I'm last place in ESPN grades on 2 of my fantasy teams. I have my last draft tomorrow night at
I will say
7 o'clock.
you definitely gave me a vibe of like you was winging it. I'm gonna keep it real.
I mean, I was live on Whatnot while I was drafting.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, man, you taking all the players I want. I'm in here. I got like 10 screens open with all these notes and all these players and all these charts. I was like, am I taking this too seriously? But they gave me the 4th rated draft grade, so I'm not too
You
mad
and
at that.
I were right next to each other in our picks in that draft. So, you know,
it's kind of weird.
Authentic took a couple of my players. I'm not going to lie. Oh,
yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Loving some of the players I drafted. I'm kind of weak on the running back portion of things, but we're going to get there. During the season, I'm gonna try to, catch that waiver wire early, get some guys. You know who I didn't see get drafted, but he might have got drafted, but I didn't see him get drafted. Was Dylan from the Green Bay Packers.
No, he got picked.
Yeah, I'm sure he got picked. I just didn't see where. And he's the kind of back that I want to get, like a second guy. Like my dude that's in Minnesota as well. Backing up Cook.
Madison.
Madison. Yeah, I like him too. He's a tough runner. He reminds me of Cook a lot. But let's stay with this quarterback theme here, man. I want to talk about my quarterback. Y'all know I could talk about my quarterback for the whole damn podcast. I could take 2 hours and talk about our quarterback. Y'all know what it is, man. It's been the topic of discussion for all Giants fans. But let's talk about the guy, man. The man, the myth, the legend. Some think he's a franchise guy who just has been surrounded by a lot of mediocrity. And some others just want to give up and go get themselves another quarterback out of the drafts. A lot of people are pushing for Malik Willis. I thought Malik Willis was a fantastic talent. I don't know if I was sold on drafting him, especially in the first round. But then when you see a guy like that fall to the third, it's like, maybe. Giants end up drafting Flott and I want to say Joshua Ezedu as our third-round picks because we had 2 this year, which we could have maybe spent that on a quarterback, and got that out the way early. Instead, it's feeling like the Giants are going to draft a quarterback next year. Now, for my predictions here, and I got to pull up the chat for this one. I want to see how crazy they looking at me right now when they see these numbers up here. I got Daniel Jones at 29 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and 3,450 yards. Now, for me, right, Daniel Jones has been pretty much like the same quarterback throughout most of his career. And the number one thing that we got to talk about right off the bat is health. The kid has to find a way to stay healthy. He only played 11 games last year. He had the neck injury, and I told you about this off air about he comes back finally doing press, over the summer, and the dude's got a gash on his throat like Michael Myers pulled up on him and slit his throat. And then when they asked him, hey, you think his tonsils removed? We're talking about that too. Like, if Daniel Jones got his tonsils removed and they pulled him out of his throat, that is the craziest procedure I've ever heard of in my entire life. But it's really interesting. When they asked him about it, he said, oh, no, this is a, non-football related injury. Now, me being a guy, I got a pretty long neck over here myself. If I come to the podium with a gash on my neck, I might address it off the bat just so y'all don't think I'm lying because, he kind of had
wear
a face.
A turtleneck.
Something, dog. I'm going to do something. Daniel Jones did like this. They're like, so what's up with the scar on your neck? He kind of hit him, when he started twirling that beard, dog, something ain't right. He said it was an off-season procedure that had nothing to do. It wasn't football related. I'm like, kind of sound like you lying a little bit. I can't tell. I don't know. I would have maybe a little makeup, maybe a little foundation or something.
Concealer?
Something,
shout
bro.
out to David for the $4.99 super chat. Says both our teams suck, but at least football is back. Watching individual players all season and expecting a top 5 pick again.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm expecting a top 5 pick kind of myself. We're gonna get to that when we do these talk about the predictions of records in the NFC East as well. Oh, shout out OBX Picker one time in the building.
OBX Pickers in the building. Big shout out. Says welcome back, guys. Appreciate the $4.99 super chat. OBX Picker got a new little Giants gnome coming.
Yeah, you told me about this. So anybody who follows me on Twitter, I've had a Giants gnome since about 2016, 2017. Usually just sits up on the coffee table upstairs in my living room. And I've tried all kind of superstitious things with this gnome, turning them around during games. I tried to put a little headband on him. I had a little wrist joint. A little Giants little wristband. I put it on him as a headband. That didn't work one year. I tried all kind of things, turning them, angling them. I faced them east. I thought that might work. That didn't work. And I was doing a photo shoot testing out this new flash I got with my cat, and my cat knocked off the gnome, and the gnome shattered. Everybody on Twitter said, well, thank God, that's a good thing that the gnome is gone, because it's probably a portion or has something to do with the curse that the Giants have had for the past 5 years. Worst team in football in the past 5 years. So we got a new gnome. I'm not going to quite put the gnome right up on the coffee table right away. I'm going to see what happens for about 4 games. If it's starting to go left, I'm going to then put the new gnome on the coffee table, hopefully for some new beginnings. So definitely appreciate that, OBX Picker. Appreciate the gift. I can't wait to see that, man. And everyone who sent anything to Authentic and The Beard, man, we definitely really appreciate that, man. That's love. I got so much memorabilia now from people like Lucas and people like Nick DeWick and Cernak and all these people who have been sending stuff, man. So we definitely appreciate that. But getting back to these numbers, man. The 3,400, the yards, I think I'm going to be like spot on. Like, I tried to be not optimistic. I tried to be very, 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 very realistic. I could have went pessimistic and been like 1,800 yards, he's going to get hurt week 8, something like that. I think the one spot that I might have like thrown a little too much juice at is the touchdowns. I think the 29 touchdowns might be a little too high. I think he might reside more around what he got around his rookie year. And I want to talk about that rookie year just a little bit before we move from the quarterbacks, right? We talked about the health with Daniel Jones, right? Does he have I see people label him as a turnover machine, okay? I don't know if we can call him a turnover machine, because Daniel Jones really just had a problem his rookie season fumbling the ball. That's really what it was. It was the major fumbles. Now, does he have an interception problem? Absolutely not. He's normally under 14 interceptions every year, 10, 12, 14, I believe it was. So he doesn't have a problem really throwing interceptions. I think people have this misconception about the kid that he just drops back and just turns the ball over. It's really a product of what's happening with the offensive line, and also a product of Daniel Jones not having pocket awareness. I mean, this kid just doesn't see the pressure coming and can't hold on to the ball. They taught him with the Garrett regime to put 2 hands on the ball a little bit more, so you saw less of those fumbles happening where he's just getting blindsided and just strip sacked and the ball popping out. But you still saw a guy who was timid. He was timid and scared to pull the trigger, which I think is a product of why our wide receivers played so bad last year, and you didn't see a lot of productivity from these guys. No touchdowns from Galladay, no touchdowns from Kadarius Toney. That just doesn't make any sense for guys that are that skilled. I mean, Kenny Galladay led the league in touchdowns one year with David Blau playing half of the year, and who was the other quarterback that was over there? Man, I forget my homie's name who was over there, but they threw him 4, and Matthew Stafford was off to a career best year that year when Kenny Galladay was just going off. Now, Daniel Jones, man, 45 touchdowns to the 45 turnovers, that don't look good. That's scary right there. Okay, I can bring up some Carson Wentz numbers for comparison. Carson Wentz has 85 turnovers, but he's got 140 touchdowns. So that goes to show you at least at times he was balling out. To have more turnovers than touchdowns is kind of ridiculous. And consistency is a problem. Now, with the fumbles, I want to just give you one little thing here. He's got 29 interceptions and 20 lost fumbles in his career. Dog, he's been in the league for 3 seasons, and he's got 20 lost fumbles. 11 of them were lost in the rookie year. I went through and looked at every one of them last season. I know this off the top of my head. 5 of them were scooping scores for the other team for touchdowns. Ooh. Those are the kind of plays that are backbreakers for your team. They kill drives. They kill, and then you adding points to the drive now being killed. You got more points on the board for the opposite team. It's just not a good look for Daniel Jones to be doing things like that. Now, Was the line worse in 2019 is another question I had, because Daniel Jones found a way to get sacked less in less games, granted, 2 less games, but he was sacked 38 times in 2019, the year that a lot of Giants fans are clamoring on to that they still love. He was sacked 38 times, 22 times in 2021. So he's cleaning up the mistakes, but with that, we're not getting the trigger pulled and we're not getting the big plays that we did see in the rookie year. We did see some big plays in his rookie season and didn't see those in 2021. Listen, man, when I was putting together that little video with the highlights and the, slow-mos and all that stuff of Daniel Jones, he has no highlights from 2021.
There's got to be one.
Listen, there's one. Yeah, I'll give you that. The Saints game, his throw to Galladay, he's got a few little plays, but they're not even real highlights, bro. Like, you look at, like, go and look at Carson Wentz highlights from 2021. He's going to have some throws where you're like, damn, he just threw that thing 40 yards down the field and it's a touchdown.
What about against Washington? Didn't he have some highlights?
He had a big run where he stepped out of bounds. He had a fade route to Darius Slayton that was about a 35-yarder. But I'm talking, when I say highlights, bro, I'm not just talking. You know what I'm talking about, dog. Like highlights, man. Like, dude, did you just see what he just did right there? Like an 80-yard run where he doesn't fall on his face.
Highlights.
Yeah, man. He didn't have that. His highlight last year was the catch where he caught the ball one-handed. Bro, I don't want to see no highlights from my quarterback catching the ball. So with cleaning up those turnovers, my guy is not able to put the ball in the end zone, and his red zone productivity is awful. Now, look, I went and I looked at all the game logs, okay? The problem is consistency with Daniel Jones, okay? The dude cannot put together games, back-to-back games with multiple touchdowns. He's done it in the 2019 year where everyone thought he was balling out, he only had one stretch where he had back-to-back games with multiple touchdowns, and it was against the Jets and the Bears. So for me, his stats are padded by 3 games. We talked about the 3 games last year a ton, man. Detroit, Washington, and the New York Jets. I wanted to call them the Jersey Jets. But those were the big games. 4 touchdowns against the Detroit Lions, 5 against Washington, 4 against the Jets. Now, my question I had to ask myself was it in garbage time? Because isn't that what it feels like? A big game from Daniel Jones. I mean, these are teams he's playing on that are only winning 4, 5, 6 games a year. So when you see stats against teams like Washington, not the greatest team, but not a poor team, 5 touchdowns and no interceptions, something about it told me garbage time, right? I go look into the games. That's not what it is. It's not garbage time. It's actually in games where Daniel Jones is forced to come back, which to me, that's the scary part. The Washington game was the biggest glare for me. When you look at that Washington game, right, we outscored Washington in the first 3 quarters, 35-21. The offense is just like everything is working, okay, through 3 quarters. It's all working. 4th quarter, we go into the 4th quarter up by 14 points. The offense does not score a touchdown in the 4th quarter. Defense allows Washington to score 2 touchdowns, 14 points, to push the game into overtime, where then finally the New York Giants win the coin toss and then end up driving down the field and scoring a 2-yard touchdown that Daniel Jones threw to Caden Smith. The drive was mostly relied upon Saquon Barkley. He had about 30-plus yards on that drive, and then you had one pretty decent throw to Darius Slayton for a 20-yard gain, and then Daniel Jones finally puts it away. Let's get that super chat.
Speaking of Saquon Barkley, it just worked right there. Barkley's comeback season kills Jones' stats.
That, I can agree with that, Matt. A portion of it, but I also think that, like, if Barkley is struggling, it might be more reason for Daniel Jones to have to do more, right? So I think it could work both ways. If Saquon Barkley's balling out, it could also open up play action for Daniel Jones and open up things down the field for these wide receivers. So, but I do agree with him. Like, if Barkley has the comeback season that we know he's capable of, which we'll get to that when we talk about the running backs, like, the Giants could mess around and win 8-9 games or something like that if Saquon Barkley could get back. But the defense is also a question mark. But I do agree with Matt saying that the comeback season could kill Jones' stats. I definitely agree with that. Joe is in the building one time.
With the $4.99 super chat says, Salute, Awthentik and Tim. Drop by your office to pay our proper respects. And for all Giants around the world, slap all stinky buds losers outa the dough.
Boyd's. The Boyds.
The
Boyd was flying in the sky. The Boyds.
Listen, just doing that whole thing It made me feel like we were here last week doing an episode of Awthentik.
Put you in a time capsule one time real quick. Nah, shout out to Tudo, man. Tudo's not only a big supporter of our channel here, man, but in the Giants community, I see him everywhere. He's in everybody's live chats. Whether you a monetized channel or not, he's in there waiting for you to get monetized so that he can hold you down and show some support for the New York Giants. So big salute to the homie Tudo, man. We appreciate the blessings, brother, and it's good to see you back in the chat, man. I mean, we missed you, Big Tudo, straight up.
Big shout out to Chris Pierce too for the $4.99 super chat. Says,
yes,
I suspect that Jones will look better under Dabble, better O-line, healthy Saquon, more aggressive offensive play calling. Hopefully he stays healthy.
Yeah, that's a good point too there, Chris. I think he's going to look better in the Brian Dable system too. I mean, it leads more for a guy like Daniel Jones to be able to throw the ball down the field. And look, I hear people in the Giants community talking about, hey, Saquon's going to be running the ball, all this. He's going to be getting these carries and da-da-da-da-da. I can remember, the Beard used to live with me. We'd be sitting on the couch watching a Buffalo Bills game, especially in the playoffs. They would not run the ball. They literally pass it 4 times in 4-down sequence, literally. Like, they were not running the ball. So there's two sides to this. We might be able to see a good Saquon Barkley getting a lot of carries, or we might see a pass-happy system. I don't know what Mike Kafka is going to bring to this, and same thing goes for Kansas City. There were times where Clyde Edwards-Helaire was either hurt or he was just sitting back there in the backfield blocking or catching passes out of the backfield. I think Saquon Barkley might be able to see a little bit more in the passing game than he will in the rushing game, and he actually said something about that in his latest press conference just a couple of days ago. He said something about that now running backs are starting to be relied upon in the passing game a lot more. You know how I feel about hybrid running backs, the Beard. Like, they're going away. It was like 5 years of like, we need a hybrid back. Everybody was trying to get hybrid backs. And now you're starting to see every one of these hybrid running backs gets hurt every year.
And it's unfortunate because I also love a running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield. It's so important. But I feel like now they're just Deboing everybody. And there's like, what's the point of having a hybrid running back if I can just have a Debo Samuel? So that's like, facts. It's kind of like that sort of transition right there. And big shout out to Nick the Wick is in the building with a $4.99 super chat. Says, we're back.
We're definitely
back. Indeed.
We're back.
We're back indeed.
Fact. Shout out to Nick
Is
the Wick,
Daniel
man.
Jones back though?
Is Daniel Jones back? I'm not 100% sure. These numbers could be posted by a 4-win team. Let's just be real. He could post those numbers if we win 4 games.
They could also be posted by a 9-win team, wouldn't you think?
Totally.
Depending upon Saquon, the running back, if their quarterback's putting up this sort of stats, if your running back is that guy. I mean, is this like a Ryan Tannehill stat line, or am I mistaken?
Ryan Tannehill did have that one year where it was like, I think it was like 40-7. I might be juicing that. I know it was at least like 30-something and 7. But last year, Tannehill's stats definitely took a decrease when Henry went out the lineup, and they did rely on the run. And man, they got rid of a running back that I really wanted to bring him in. Deante Foreman, I thought would be the perfect pairing to go with Saquon Barkley. I think Foreman ended up going to Carolina. No, he didn't go to Carolina because I scooped up Chuba Hubbard. I can't remember where he went. I think he went to maybe Atlanta. Maybe. But I like him as running back, big bruiser style. But these numbers, man, you're going to need a lot of help from other departments, like you said. You're going to need help in the running back department, and you're going to need your wide receivers to make some big plays. And we know that these wide receivers could also be used in the running game in this Dable system too. So I'm not ruling that out, but maybe the yards. I'd take the over on the yards. If he can stay healthy, man, and play the whole season, 17 games, he'll get more yards than that. He's pushed around 3,000, 3,129 when he's been hurt, throughout his career. So I could see him doing that.
This is something that we discussed. So no Mets, no Nets, no Jets says if he gets those numbers, is he still the quarterback of the Giants going into next season?
Nope. It's not high enough. Me and the Beard both talked about this off air. I think it would have to be you would need playoffs from Dan. You would need playoffs from Daniel Jones, and just like the Beard said to me off air, you're going to need to be winning games because of Daniel Jones. He's going to have to get more fourth quarter comebacks. I think he only has 3 in his whole entire career, which is ridiculous. One of them being against the Bucs, his first game out, where we really should have lost the game. You get the big play down the field to Mike Evans at the end of the game, and their field goal kicker shanks the kick, and then the Giants end up winning the game. To me, that's not a true fourth quarter comeback win, because you relied upon the other team to be able to win the game. They were down on like the 30-yard line, 25-yard line or something like that. But I'm looking for more fourth quarter comebacks. I like where it's at. Chat, y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Are y'all taking overs or unders on these numbers I presented here? 34.50, I'm taking the over. I told the Beard I was going to take some over and unders on my own stat predictions. I'm taking the over on the yards. I'm taking the under on the touchdowns. I might take that over on those interceptions because if he is healthy for 17 games, I see Daniel Jones making at least a good, healthy, maybe 13, 14 interception mistakes.
See, I'm actually not that mad at these numbers. I think you're in the right vicinity of where Daniel Jones can be at. My only question is it feels like it's been a long time since we've seen him and his, close to these numbers.
Yeah.
So
what we would call his prime, his rookie year.
Yeah, I was going to say his peak, but yeah.
Yeah, his peak's better because that was his peak for sure.
Yeah, so I think I would probably go a little lower on the touchdowns. I'm okay with the yards. Interceptions, like you said, he doesn't necessarily have an interception problem.
Right.
But I think I like the yards. I like the interceptions. If I were to have a nitpick with this stat line, I would probably go under on the touchdowns, maybe like 24-ish or something along those lines for the touchdowns.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you because Daniel Jones, there's a stretch in the 2019 season where he went 6 straight games with 1 touchdown or less. He is a 1 touchdown a game. Like, he's the king of that, dude. Like, that's what he does. Throws 1 a game.
You're going to need 2. And we're also going to need to give a big shout out to Tuto! For the $4.99 super chat says, major key for Giants to win against Titans losers. So easy. Just stop their running games, and they'll be a scared, skinny cat and D-box. Forget about it. I will tell you what's really funny is the authentic ain't scared of Derrick Henry tweet responses was pretty.
Yo, that thing went crazy. I can't stand you, Twitter, by the way, because look, let me tell you what the algorithm did. First, they showed that to all the Giants fans for 2 days, right? So I get all these Giants fans like, yeah, we ain't scared of Henry. It's all positive vibes. Like, we're going to go in there. We're going to take care of Bennett, da-da-da. 2 days later, what do? They show it to the whole Titan fan base. So now, for 2 days, I got nothing but Titans fans calling me crazy names out of pocket, telling me I'm crazy, telling me I need a straitjacket and all this stuff, and I better be scared of Derrick Henry. I mean, dude, last time we saw him in the playoffs, man, the dude had 20 carries for 60 yards. I'm not saying he's some bum. I'm just not scared. I'm not scared of no running back in the NFL. Run the ball as much as you want. If you're going to beat me by running the ball, I'm totally for it. Just don't be passing the ball up and down the field on some Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase vibes. And I got to watch you guys celebrating doing what's the dance my man Jefferson be doing? The gritty. Come on, dog. I ain't seen a Giants player do no touchdown dances in so long. I'm just not trying to have that. So for me, I'm not scared of the running back. I'm not saying we might not get our ass kicked either. So don't take it with a grain of salt.
I want to know if this is a full 17-game season, Monique.
That can't be with that 2,600. That's 2,600 though, Monique. Come on, that's wild right there. All right, so I think we capped off the quarterback situation here pretty well. I think you might have inflated it a little bit too much on a couple, categories. For me, I think it's the touchdowns here. I didn't want to, shout out to the graphics department. I didn't want to have them go back and change anything. So I said, I'm going to run with it, man. I'll run with the 29, man. I'll die on the 29 sword. We'll see. Hopefully he gets more than that because if he gets in that 30 to 35 range with 11 interceptions, then I think the Giants do need to really think long and hard about bringing him back on a franchise tag. We shall see, man. But let's Yeah, I'm looking through these notes to make sure I got it all, all the nuggets. Shout out to my man, too, though. I got to get all these nuggets out, man. And Thursday is going to be hella roadmap, so y'all make sure to tune in on Thursday for sure. But, yeah, Daniel Jones' consistency, man, is a major, major, major issue. Hey, shout out my guy Engraven in the building. What's up, fam? How you living?
We are back again.
I watched one of his videos the other day. The Ravens have released some wide receiver that was on a lot of people's radar, and I got the confirmation from Engraven. He was saying, yeah, he thought that was a wide receiver that wasn't going to make the Ravens roster. Giants are signing guys now. I was telling you this off air. Like, dog, some of these people, I don't even know who they are, bro. These names coming in for the offensive line. Some of these we got a wide receiver out of Tennessee who I looked at his tape, and he looked pretty electric, man, but I don't know if he's going to see the field. We got some people on the practice squad they signing. Right now, I just don't want to invest unnecessary time into a team that might lose a bunch of games. I'm going to wait until this season kind of unravels a little bit more to really get in depth about the Giants, and I want them to get me excited about the team and moving forward, like seeing something positive. Like I'm all hype about these coaches, but I don't want to fall for the same trick bag that we did with Joe Judge. You feel me?
Yeah, totally understand that. Big shout out to Brian for the $1.99 super chat. Says, hey, homies, I want to see Awthentik do a touchdown dance.
You know what's crazy is I don't dance at all, right? I forget. Look, I was watching Rich Eisen today, right? And he told a story. He had the homie from Cobra Kai, you know, the Cobra Kai instructor, the OG dude from the first Karate Kids. He was on there with him. And they were talking about a story with Sylvester Stallone where he damn near had to, like, stomp this dude out because dude was trying to get him to dance on the dance floor, like, you know, pulling him, like, get on the dance floor. You know how kind of like at your wedding, people trying to do me, like, come on, man, come on. I'm like, bruh, cool it, right? But it's good to know that, like, there's somebody else out there that don't dance because I don't dance. But if you did catch me dancing, it would definitely be a touchdown dance. I might dance. I might dance, dude, if I get me a touchdown, for sure, for sure.
But speaking about dancing, I just want to be real quick with this. I did kill it on the dance floor at my wedding.
Oh yeah, you known to kill the dance floor. I'll give you that. But you know, you kill the dance floor in a goofy way. Like it's a
what?
It's
no,
like nobody's gonna be like, yo, the beard got moves, cuz you see him out there? Nobody's gonna say that. They're gonna be like, he comfortable, he loose, he dancing. That's about it.
I was hitting that African money dance, like, you know, like I had that one. I was killing that one, you know what I'm saying?
I like the traditions of like making it rain. We were throwing money and all that. The wedding was a blast, man. We had a really fantastic time, man. I know you was nervous, but as soon as you said the vows, you know, wiped the tears away and all that, you know, it was a party. It was pretty much a party at the end of the day, man.
One more big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says, I ain't scared of Henry. I faced against much bigger, stronger cats in our sports. Suit me up, and all I'll need is a half chance to ground him for life.
I like it. Tudo's not scared either. I'm not scared of Derrick Henry, but I will say this. There was a Titans fan, right, who showed me a picture of Derrick Henry in college, and he was standing next to some other running back that's in the NFL. I can't remember who it was. It was like Mark Ingram or somebody.
Mark Ingram, yeah.
It was Mark Ingram.
Alabama.
Bro, and Mark Ingram was looking at him like this. Bro, my dude was a giant. He was a giant. So I'm saying I ain't scared now. Titans fans are telling me I need to wake up, man. So we shall see, man. But let's push this into the next position category one time. You want to start with my running back or your running back? I'm gonna give you free reign on this.
We'll start with my running back. We're gonna
start with your running back. All right, let's get it one time. Antonio Gibson, man. A lot of talk about Antonio Gibson in the offseason. We thought he was coming in being the starter. They drafted this kid, Brian Robinson. Looks like he was going to take the job. And then exactly what DC is known for. This dude comes into town. He's driving down H Street. I don't know why he was driving down H Street. I don't know what time of day it was. I think it was broad daylight. This dude gets shot in his thigh and in his ass. But they're saying they didn't rule him out and like keep him off the roster. They kept him on the 53-man roster. Looks like he's not going to be able to play at least the first 4 weeks. A bonus for this guy right here, Antonio Gibson. Now, what I want you to tell me is how much did Brian Robinson getting shot factor into these statistics? Because these statistics look really good right here, right now.
I mean, I put these together under the impression that Brian Robinson was going to miss at least half of the season. So I think what's going to happen here, though, is that I think Antonio Gibson is going to come out here with a chip on his shoulder, because he was basically told, after that fumble in the preseason, he was returning kicks. He was going to be our main kick returner if Brian Robinson didn't get shot. So,
But now that he's the running back, they're saying he's not going to return kicks?
Yeah, there's no way he returns kicks now that he's, RB1. It's just, it wouldn't make sense. But, the Antonio Gibson slander to me is completely unwarranted. Antonio Gibson has been a top 10 running back, whether you're looking at it by yards or looking at it by touchdowns in his first couple of years here in the National Football League. I mean, the guy ran for over 1,000 yards last year, 7 touchdowns.
Which you know my whole new spiel now about the 1,000 yards, man. It's not that much. It don't mean much.
But it does. But at the same time, in a pass-happy league, 1,000 yards on the ground is kind of good. You know what I'm saying?
It's decent. It's decent. But in 17 games, bro, you're looking at about 58 yards per game or something like that. Shout out to
17
King
games.
Chris TV. He says he's got Gibson on his fantasy squad. I've got Gibson on my fantasy squad as well. I see here a couple comments down. You saying, should I trade him? I'd say no. With Brian Robinson getting shot now, this guy's going to take the bulk of the main running back one carries, and you'll probably see McKissick come in and do a lot of the pass catching. You know what I'm saying? Just like they did last year, and they were very successful at that. Gibson was the third leading rusher in the NFL last year.
I think also now that they realize that, and I hate when people say that players in the NFL are soft, right? Yeah. There's no way you play in the NFL and you're soft. And I think that there's instances, if you go back and you look at some of the film on Antonio Gibson, where you can see that he can run the ball hard. You know, in between the tackles, he's not as good. It's not that he's not good. He's just great if you get him outside the tackles. He's great in space. You got to get a little bit of creativity with Antonio Gibson as far as the run game goes.
I think that Antonio Gibson's the kind of running back that, like, he doesn't do one thing great. He does everything pretty well.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
listen, you know
he
what?
can
I'll
break
give
tackles.
you. I agree with
He's got
that.
speed to take it to the house sometimes. He can pass catch a little bit. You know, he's not a guy that you're not going to throw the ball to in the passing game, obviously. And then, you know, I just think he can do it. He's got a decent amount of agility. He's pretty quick. You know, he's not the fastest, not the strongest, but he can truck people, break tackles, shake people. He can do a little bit of it all. I don't even know what running back I would compare him to in the past. Like, he's a different style of running back. You know, he's not quite like the hybrid like a Saquon or a CMC, but he's more of a hybrid than he is like a between the tackles running back, I'd say, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and people got to remember too, like, he was never a running back. He played wide receiver in college.
Where did he go to school at again? It was a small school,
Memphis.
Right? Memphis, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that I'm taking into consideration his previous years. You know, he's had 11. He ran for, what was it last year? He ran for 1,037 yards last year on the ground. And then the year before that, with only 170 carries, he did 780 yards. But he had 10 touchdowns, I believe, in his rookie campaign.
Rookie year, he had 10.
Which was like in the top. He was like in the top 3, top 4 when it came to touchdowns before he got hurt.
Yeah.
And which was kind of limited his numbers. But then last year, going over 1,000 yards, 7 rushing touchdowns last year. You know, and you got to remember how bad our offense was last year. You know, it was
pretty bad. I mean, it's hard for me to sympathize with you because I'm a Giants fan.
You had we
did the quarterback sneak twice from our own 2-yard line, and then punted the ball with Saquon Barkley in the backfield.
But also, you know, we talk a little bit about him catching the ball at the backfield. If you look at his statistics, they have increased his role as far as catching the ball out of the backfield over the last 2 seasons. And I expect that trend to continue this year, which is why I have him getting 50 catches. You know, I think maybe even a little bit more yards might make sense. You know, if you're getting close to, 9, if you're a running back, you probably want to average somewhere between, I'd say 7 and 11 yards per catch out the backfield. Obviously, there's going to be times where you have like dink and dunks, like, where they're basically just checkdowns. But then you're going to have some design stuff where you have the ability to break them for a long gain, if not a touchdown. So I like Antonio Gibson as a running back. I think that the Washington Commanders fan base, the slander of Antonio Gibson is absolutely just ridiculous. Like you just because you don't have to hate one guy and love another guy when you have two
social
good guys at the same.
Social media does not help that. It doesn't help.
It doesn't.
You hear too many opinions now that we have social media, because I'll tell you what, like, I could take this all the way back to like my, when I was like in high school and Dave Brown quarterbacking for us. The amount of flack that Daniel Jones gets, rightfully so, I will say. I didn't hear those kind of things as much because social media didn't exist. So you're just like thinking like, maybe my quarterback's going to, turn the corner and he's going to be a guy, and then he just never becomes a guy. Even for a player like Kerry Collins, who had some ups and some serious downs, you just did not hear the rumbling talk and conversations as much, especially in the offseason. Now you got people saying, oh, Gibson's a fumbling maniac. You got people saying that Chase Young is a bust. You got people saying Kadarius Toney's a bust after 1 year. So it's like all these opinions get out there faster, and with journalism changing now, everyone is trying to get to like the story first. They want to be the first person to say, hey, I said Daniel Jones was a bust. I said this, and then they just want to live on that. But for me, it's like, I'll change my opinion whenever I want. I don't care. I might think Daniel Jones is a bust one day, and then another day I can say, yo, this dude's looking like a franchise guy. I started off last season, the first 3 games, talking about Daniel Jones. He had a passer rating of over 90 in the first 3 games. I was very excited. He was playing some of his best football of his career. And then he just kind of starts to just go downhill, and I switched up on it. So call it flip-flopping, call it whatever you want. I just use my eyes, man.
Yeah,
guys can go from being RG3 went from being one of the top guys in the NFC as far as the quarterback position that rookie year to then completely just falling off where I was like, I would not even sign that guy to my team.
Yeah, people are going to change. You're going to get hot. You're going to get cold. You know, the defenses that you're playing might be different. The opportunities might change. You know, that's going to happen. But be happy that you have two solid running backs. Like if Antonio Gibson doesn't fumble the ball, then everybody is talking about Antonio Gibson like he's a top tier running back. There are Hall of Fame running backs that had the same, if not more, fumbles in the same amount of games as Antonio Gibson did at this stage in his career. You know, like plenty of running backs have turned things around.
It wasn't a real fumbling issue till like late last year. And then you're like, dang, like, you know, it's almost like one fumble really can change it. And you talked about this off air. Like the fumble in the preseason game really hurt him. It really made it where like they were looking at it like Brian Robinson was going to come in and be the lead back. But Antonio Gibson, I want to say last year he had 6 fumbles. Yeah, he had 6 fumbles in 2021. He lost 4 of them. But to be third in rushing, you know, you can kind of take those fumbles. You know, you just don't want the most. I think he had a game where he fumbled twice in the game and they benched him.
It was bad moments.
Yeah, real bad moments,
timing,
really low lows.
Bad time in the field, bad field position, stuff like that. So, but I like Antonio Gibson. I think he has a chip on his shoulder. I expect him to have a good season. And I think that as long as he performs well during the absence of Brian Robinson, when Brian Robinson comes back, they'll find out a way to make them work, together.
Tandem,
and I think that those stats will continue to go. That's why I didn't go too crazy. I think this is around where he has been throughout his career so far in the National Football League. So I think he has an opportunity to do the same here this year. Big shout out to Tuto.
Good point, NYG Mason. Shout
out
to
the $9.99 super chat. Says Giant coaches and players should stick with their assignments and get their jobs done. We've been underdogs, underclass against much bigger teams, but we've ended up winning against all odds. Shout out to Toe.
And then
you're talking about the Tiki Barber?
Yeah, the Tiki Barber comment is good. Yeah. That is who Gibson reminds me of. He's not as elusive as a Barber, but that's a good comparison. I like that comparison, NYG Mason. That's a great one. And shout out to Adam Costas in the building, man. Make sure y'all go subscribe to Adam, man. He's I found myself digging through Adam's old content, man, like just a couple months back. Like he's got content from like 6-7 years ago, and I got a major respect for his takes, man. He's like no cut cards, not scared to say anything, and not gonna just join the pack. You know, like I can't stand these people who like they just join the pack. Like whatever everybody else is saying is what they're gonna say. And for me, I gotta have my own opinions on things, you know, and I respect Adam's opinion on that because he just keeps it funky, man, all the time. And even dating back to them old videos, he was like up in his attic, but dropping game, dog, straight dropping game. So make sure y'all go and subscribe to Adam, man. He's a good dude, too, and great takes.
Roldy is in the building.
Yes, sir.
Roldy.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
What do you think about my Antonio Gibson numbers here?
I think the touchdowns are too high for rushing touchdowns. I like the 3, but I also think that when Brian Robinson gets back, if he is the guy that you guys think he is, he could be that workhorse, and then maybe McKissick is still getting some of those carries and some of those touches, you know, and I think that's not going to yield well for Antonio Gibson here, which I think the yards, I'm taking the under on the yards, I'm taking the under on the touchdowns, and I'm taking the under on the receptions as well. I think the receiving yards is about right, and I think the receiving touchdowns should be about right, but there's a lot of factors that could play into what happens with Antonio Gibson and the rest of that backfield for that matter, man. If like you said, if they can be a tandem and work together, then where does J.D. McKissick's place where does he fit in? You know, is he a guy that's expendable before the trade deadline? Possibly, but we'll see. You know, I think Antonio Gibson's a very capable running back. The fumbles ain't an issue for me. I think he's going to correct that. You know, when you fumble, you've seen the program, bro. Omar Epps, you got to carry the football in class and all that, man. Make it a part of you so that you don't fumble. We saw Tiki Barber, who Mason just compared Antonio Gibson to, correct the fumbling problem that was. Bro, they used to give you so much of a longer leash in the NFL back in the day. Tiki Barber was fumbling for like 4 or 5 years, bro. It wasn't like, you know, 1,
Adrian
2
Peterson,
seasons.
too. Adrian Peterson had a fumbling problem early in his career.
Was it like a Tiki kind of thing, or was it like just a mild one?
It was like, I mean, well, it was probably more like Antonio Gibson. I mean, he was fumbling. I think he had 8 or 10 fumbles in his first 2 or 3 seasons.
10 is a rack. I'm definitely going to look into that because Barber, it was awful. It was like every year,
I remember.
gang of fumbles,
I remember.
man. Like, and they kept giving him opportunity. Thank God they didn't give up on him because he's, greatest running back in Giants history. That is what it is. And it's fortunate for us as Giants fans that we were able to see Tiki, and unfortunate at the same time that he retired right before we won the Super Bowl. A lot of people hate Tiki Barber in the community. I'm a big fan of Tiki Barber, and I think that he deserved a ring, man. I remember that last game. I think it was against the Washington Redskins at the time. He went off like 200 or something. Just went crazy, like high 100s. So if Gibson can do anything to like imitate a Tiki Barber, and this is that, we're looking at a guy entering his 3rd year who's fumbled 6 times last year, 4 loss. I can't remember what it was the first season. He can correct that. I think he can correct that, but it's really about the opportunity. Are the Washington Commanders going to give him that opportunity to be a guy to put up these kind of numbers? 1,100 yards, probably going to be like 300 carries, right?
Yeah, let's say
280?
he averages like 4.5 a carry.
4.5 carry, yeah.
Above my
he went down.
right
he
now.
went down from 4.7 in 2020 to 4.0 in 2021
last year.
Yeah. So, I don't know what that says. Was rushing down in the NFL? I mean, I know we had Jonathan Taylor up there high. There was no Derrick Henry, so that 3rd place thing might be a little bit inflated, just a little bit. 250 or so. Yeah, I'm right there. I think around 280, maybe close 300, something like that. But let's talk about my running back now one time. We good on that one? We could put the button on Antonio Gibson.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Matt Breida. I'm just playing. Let's go with my man Saquon Barkley. Everybody looking for Saquon Barkley to have a bounce-back season this year, man. It's super important year for my guy. A lot of people talking about make or break for Daniel Jones. It's extremely make or break for Saquon Barkley. We know the life of running backs in the NFL has been just going lower and lower and lower and lower. Guys coming in for just a few years, being effective, and then they're out of here. They retire sometimes. Even a guy like Jordan Howard, I remember he was like at the top of his game, and then Philly brought him back, and it kind of revived his career. But for me, these are my numbers for Saquon Barkley. Let me pull up that chat. I got to see if they're looking at me crazy.
Not yet.
I'm going 811 yards rushing, 7 rushing touchdowns. He only had 2 rushing touchdowns last year. I'm going 57 receptions, 514 receiving yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. He had 2 receiving touchdowns last year. I think that Saquon Barkley is just going to be a product of maybe trying to do a little bit too much. Waterfly's asking here, Saquon traded by game 6 or 7? I don't think so. If you're a team and you want Saquon Barkley, I wouldn't press to trade for him. If the Giants are like completely shopping him, maybe. But I wouldn't press and try to be making calls for the trade. I would just wait till the contract's up and then just try to get him. If he doesn't have a great year, you might be able to get a guy who has the potential to be a real deal running back in this league. And you might be able to sign him for a lot cheaper. Rather than if you trade him, you lose a lot of value.
I don't think you see a running back traded in the NFL ever again, mid-season.
Ooh.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Now you got me trying to think of who was the last running back. Was there any running backs that were traded last year mid-season? That's a good take, though. I like that take. It's hot.
Because
Adam's asking if I think he'll have that low of rushing yards. I mean, this is what it is, Adam. It's like last year, he was here for most of the games. 590 what? 593 rushing yards for him and Booker. Both of them, 593. Saquon Barkley's coming off his lowest yards per carry average of his career, and he was the lowest running back in the NFL with that was eligible, that had eligible amount of carries for yards per carry at 3.4, I believe it was. That's off the top. I'm not 100% sure on that. But now you're looking at a guy, Saquon Barkley. If he can get back to 2018, which is a different person, it's a totally different person. In 2018, he averaged 5 yards per carry. He averaged 81 yards per game. Now, that's what I'm talking about. It's impressive. That 58 and you get 1,000 at the end of the year, you all right. We could manage with you on the field with those numbers, right? But I'm still looking at you as like I could upgrade the position if you just 1,000-yard running back. Saquon looking at 5 yards per carry in 2018. Now, I always like to, give some kudos to my homie Eli Manning, that I think a lot of that had to do with Eli Manning, the way that Saquon was playing. Being able to read these coverages at the line, read what defenses are doing, pre-snap, and be able to put Saquon Barkley in the right position. Everybody knows 91 catches for a running back. Him and CMC are the only kind of guys that are putting up those kind of numbers, getting that many catches out of the backfield. Let me see what my man Esud said one time. Pull that back up. So Esud says a full healthy season and whatever stats come with it. That's all we need from Saquon, unless we plan on making a deep run. Although it would be nice to see the pre-injury style 26. Yeah, man, I went back. I looked at some of the highlights from 2018. He's a different person. I talked to the Beard about this off air. The first person was not tackling Saquon Barkley in 2018. You were dead. You were not tackling him. Good luck. You're not tackling him. The second guy, okay. Third guy, yeah. But the first guy was not tackling Saquon Barkley. So for me, I'm trying to play it a little bit modest. I'm taking the over on the yards. For sure, I'm going to take the over on the yards. But I just think that, like, if I got to keep it realistic, if Saquon comes out of this year with like 680, it's not going to surprise me. It's not really going to surprise me like that. Oh, yeah, Mark Ingram was traded. Yup. And Sony Michel. Mm-hmm. Sony Michel was, it was before the season actually started, though, I think, with Sony Michel.
Yeah,
because Akers got hurt in camp, and then they got him.
And then Sony Michel got traded. And then Mark Ingram was like a couple games into the season.
Yeah.
Because they just weren't giving him the – maybe it was – but, yeah, that was
Mark
early
Ingram
in the
got
season.
traded from where? Was he coming from Houston?
Baltimore. Oh, no, you're right, Houston. From Houston to the Saints.
Or was that Saints move in the offseason? I can't remember. Somebody in the chat help me out with that for sure. Because that Saints move might have been in the offseason. I can't remember 100% though. But I mean, I'm just trying to play it modest for Saquon here, man. I hope he just completely blows all these numbers out of the water. Like just 1,200. Somebody said, who was it? Real Mace Black on Twitter was saying this. He said 1,500 all-purpose, and I'm scared of that. I just don't know if Saquon's going to be able to get 1,500 all-purpose. So that's why I kind of had him like just a couple hundred under. I'm just playing it a little bit modest because last year I tried that whole optimistic vibe entering the season with stats, my quarterback, his touchdowns, the running back, the record, and I was wrong on all of that. So I just got to play this just a little bit more chill. I do think Saquon Barkley has the capability to get back to 2018 form or close to it. But when you're talking about a guy who last year, he averaged 42 yards a game. That's not the Saquon that we know. Just 2 rushing touchdowns. 856 total yards from scrimmage. That's not going to cut it for Saquon. We're going to continue to lose games, but I like where these numbers stand. Seems like the yards is a little bit low if I got to go off what people are saying. Some in the chat at least, but hopefully he can breach them yards, man. What's your thoughts on it? You going to take the over or the under on these stats?
I'm going over. I think Saquon Barkley cracks the 1,000-yard running mark. I think he hits 1,000 plus in rushing yards. Mm-hmm. I kind of like the rushing touchdowns. I might put him up to 10 like Antonio Gibson.
Man, you just giving out just high touchdown numbers, huh?
I mean, listen, look, I love a good running back. Run the damn ball. Like I'm not mad. Facts. I'm not mad at it. I mean, but think about this. I'm taking this sort of stat line. That 514 receiving yards is something that, it's not something to put your nose up at. I like Saquon Barkley to go over 1,000 yards rushing. I think he hits somewhere in the 7 to 10 rushing yards, and I like where he's at with the receiving yards. He might get over to that 600 one if Saquon gets back to old Saquon and he catch a couple in the game and he hits one of those 50, 60, 70 yard catch and runs. You know what I'm saying? Like
we need it.
All that can kind of add up. I'm a big Saquon guy. I thought last year I was guilty of making the Adrian Peterson comparison.
Oh yeah, I was
year.
too. I was too. I'm gonna keep it real with you.
So I think this is the year when he really shows the improvement after the injury. Oh, here we go. Two-toe for the $1.99 super chat says New York Giants 11-6 in
next
2020.
Season,
is that next season like
that's
this season, or is that next season like next season?
Yeah, that's 2023. Something about the Giants community, yo. We're infatuated with 11-6. I see my homies on Big Pat's show always saying that 11-6. G Nation, he's always like 11-6, authentic 11-6, and we went 4 and whatever last year, 13. So, I believe it when I see it.
Yet. You have not missed that part yet.
Oh yeah. We're not going to predict game by game either this year. So you Cowboys fans are kind of. What is it? SOL? Yeah, SOL a little bit. Yeah, but we're going to give y'all some record predictions and all that for sure. And we got a couple questions, too, to throw to the chat as well. But that's where I stand with Saquon Barkley, entering the 2022 season. Tudo says 11-6 for 2023, man. If we could get Anthony Richardson, maybe. I'll say maybe that boy looking like he is a guy. I'm going to say
I had to pull out the receipts. I saw everybody on Twitter going crazy over him. I said, hold on.
Let me search the beard.
I pulled up the tweet from 9/11/2021, and I told everybody, I said, listen, type this name into your Twitter search bar and your Google search and thank me later. Literally 1 year ago, I told everybody.
Anthony Richardson. Yeah, the dude is a man. He's a man. He's like, this is not no kid. That dude's a man. He sat down on the sideline after scoring that touchdown, took his helmet off. I was like, that dude looked like Cam Newton right now. Like, looks like he's got that kind of body. So I'm looking forward to the draft, to be honest, man. Like, I hope he can sustain what he's doing right now. They're saying, oh, it was Utah and blah, blah, blah. You know, they're saying, oh, and I don't watch as much college ball, but I'm hoping he can sustain it.
Utah's
I like to use my
top
eyes.
10 team.
Yeah, they talked about their defense being like, fugazi, as my man Tudo would say. Straight up. So I don't know. You would know better than me, man, but I'm hoping he can sustain it. I'm just using my eyes, man, just like I did with Malik Willis last year. Just using my eyes, looking at the skill set, looking at, what the quarterback can do, how he reads things, pocket presence, things like that. That kid, you see the pirouette touchdown throw? Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That dude is something else, man. But let's get to this wide receiver conversation here. We took care of Gibson. We took care of my man Saquon Barkley. All right. Now, I gotta talk David Sills, because David Sills gonna do his thing. We're gonna start with Washington on this one time. Everybody knows who this gonna be. Scary Terry McLaurin. I mean, on a bad team last year, he was a very, very, very bright spot. I've been saying this guy's a number one wide receiver since he came into the league. Great route runner. He can do it all. The only thing that we haven't really seen from Terry McLaurin much is that down the field deep shot. And I know you're going to blame that on the quarterback with Taylor Heineke, because Taylor Heineke can throw it about what? If I can throw a 40 consistently, Taylor Heineke can throw a 50. At least. He can throw a 50. I'll go look at the combine.
He can throw a 50, but not on a rope. Not like,
What quarterback is going to throw a 50 on a rope?
I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks throwing it 50
There is
on
not
a
a
rope.
lot of quarterbacks throwing 50 on a rope.
Okay, well, maybe not like a tight rope, but maybe like a jump rope. Not a lot of pop.
A jump rope. I like that. A jump rope. More like a jump rope. But how you come to this conclusion with these numbers here, man? Them yards looking kind of high. Them receptions looking kind of high. Touchdowns, 8. I'm not too mad at it. Terry McLaurin has a high of 6 on his career now. What's he entering his 4th year? 2019.
Yes, yeah. So I do have to give a big shout out just in time for my Terry McLaurin stat predictions are the fellas at Ref the District. Big shout out to Ref the District. They have been making big moves on their YouTube channel.
Big time.
It's been awesome to see their growth. Definitely some really great guys. So if you guys are looking for some really dope content, I highly suggest you guys go over and check out Ref the District. I mean, I got to these numbers by one simple conclusion. This is going to sound bad.
He's like, what simple conclusion? Hold up.
In the back of my head, I could hear Awthentik saying, if was a 5th, we'd all be drunk.
You know what it is,
listen,
bro.
It don't matter. Carson Wentz is better than any other quarterback that Terry McLaurin has played with thus far in his career.
Come on. All right, go ahead. I'm gonna let that rock. I'm gonna give you one of those. I'm gonna give you one mulligan a show from now on out. You say some craziness, and I'm gonna just let it rock. All right. Carson Wentz at his worst
is better than any quarterback that Terry McLaurin has played with.
Jesus.
Who's better?
All of them.
No. Rest in peace. God rest his soul. I love him to death. Dwayne Haskins.
He never looked as bad as 2020 Carson Wentz. He looked bad.
All right. Listen. All right. I'm not talking about 2020 Carson Wentz is an anomaly.
You said his worst.
At his worst, like when Carson Wentzing is Carson Wentzing. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean like a full bad season. Yeah, when Wentz is Wentzing. But no, I think that Carson Wentz is a significant upgrade over a majority of the quarterbacks, if not all the quarterbacks that Terry McLaurin has played with thus far in his career, which is why I'm giving Terry McLaurin career highs this year at receiving yards, receptions, and touchdowns. Now, Terry McLaurin, previous high in his career, 87 receptions. So 4 more receptions. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to be honest with you guys. These numbers were even higher than this when I originally sent them over to Awthentik.
Oh, yeah. And then I saw him and I said something. I said, bruh, you sure? Like, he's not Antonio Brown in his prime.
It was like 1,500 yards, 101 receptions, and I think it was like 10 or 11 touchdowns.
Yeah, it was up there.
This is me coming back down to earth on Terry McLaurin. You know what I'm saying? But listen, his high before previously in receptions is 87. His high in yards previously is 1,118. So, and I think his high in touchdowns was 7.
It was 7.
So it's
okay,
not that.
6. Got you.
Yeah, it's not that far fetched, to see these numbers. I think Terry McLaurin has something to prove because he got the bag, and now it's about time to show why you got the bag. And not even just having an upgrade at quarterback, but if he can have the rest of the weapons on the field healthy for a whole year, it is going to open things up. And that's a blessing and a curse because, yes, it may open things up, but also that means that the ball's got to go around to more hands throughout the season. With Dotson, with Samuel, with Logan Thomas, the running backs, and then sprinkling in the other guys, Cam Sims, Dax Milne if he ever sees the field, Deante Brown if he lives up to his potential.
You talking about alligator arms in the preseason. I know you saw that.
Listen,
Made a business decision like my man Ricky Waters did back in the day.
It was not pretty, but
it was not
this
pretty.
Is why I
Do you believe in dinosaurs now?
No, never.
Got you. Just wanted to make sure.
I did just sell a Jurassic Park PlayStation 1 game on eBay the other day for $55. So I finally got my piece of the pie on the dinosaur conspiracy. So shout out to the dinosaur conspiracy.
They're giving you your reparations.
Yeah. So I think Terry McLaurin is, and think about this. He didn't make the top 100 NFL list.
That's
so
nuts. Are you serious?
Yeah, he's not on the top 100 list.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin not a top 100 player? That is ridiculous.
Nope. Not there.
That's voted on by the players too, right?
That is voted on by the players, which to me is even more of a shock. Because you would think that they would, understanding the situation that he's been in too, we can agree though that this is the best situation that he's been in so far in his career, right?
I don't know. It's a similar situation with a different quarterback.
On paper.
Similar situation with a different quarterback. That's really it. You're looking at a guy who threw 27 touchdowns last year. How many did Heineke have last year? 20? Yeah, 20. 20 and 15. Those are them Carson Wentz looking numbers right there. He could throw it farther. He could throw it farther. I give you that. But when it comes to accuracy, mistakes, and things like that, yeah, all that stuff factors in. I don't think I don't look at this situation and go, hey, it's extremely better than it's been. I don't. It could be bad. But Carson Wentz has never really played with the number one wide receiver. He caught Alshon Jeffrey on the tail end of his career kind of slumming, and outside of that, it's been tight ends, Michael Pittman, nobody really a number one out there.
So do you, if you had to put Terry McLaurin in a top blank wide receivers in the National Football League, where would you go?
He's going to be like top 15 probably. It's
top
tough.
15.
Wide receiver so different. I mean, I might have to say top 20. I'd have to really look off the cuff. I would think he's top 15, right around 15. But if we get to naming people, he could be like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 range as well.
You don't think he can creep into the top 10 in receivers?
I don't think so. Nah.
What about with this? If he finishes the year with this stat line, he's a top 10 receiver, right?
Depends what everybody else doing, to be honest. It really depends on what everybody else doing. I was looking at the running back, not to switch it too crazy, but looking at the running backs, when you had Gibson at 10 touchdowns, there's only 7 running backs who rushed for double-digit touchdowns last year. And one of them was a quarterback, Jalen Hurts. So it really all depends. I mean, these numbers look good. These numbers look really good. Yeah, I think he'd be top 15 with those numbers, guaranteed, cusp of top 10 probably. But it's tough, man, when you got guys putting up crazy numbers like Chase, Adams, you got Hopkins still out there. All these wide receivers, Jefferson, Mike Evans is still a better wide receiver than Terry McLaurin is today, right? I mean, I'm taking Mike Evans over him right now. I think it's a close thing, but I'm taking Mike Evans. A.J. Brown is going to be in the conversation, So
let me ask you this. Out of all the receivers who signed new deals from this draft class, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown. Yeah. Where's Terry McLaurin in those 4 wide receivers?
He's somewhere at the top. DK Metcalf, I would have him right there with Terry McLaurin, but the quarterback situation in Seattle is just wow right now. We don't know. Geno Smith played some decent ball last year when he came in, man. 4 games, over 100 passer rating. He played decent, but it's hard because they all very quarterback dependent. I don't look at none of them like I look at D-Hop when he was with Houston, where it didn't matter who the quarterback was. He was going to go out there and get his. I don't look at any of those wide receivers like that. I think they're all pretty dependent on what's happening around them, but they're all in the same tier. You know, they're all on the cusp of being like really, really great wide receivers that'll be here for a while. You know, that next wave of wide receivers, they're all going to be a part of it. But I could put Terry McLaurin at the top of those guys. But then when you factor in the other wide receivers who've been here for a while, I mean, like I got Terry McLaurin under a guy like Amari Cooper.
Really?
Yeah, the only reason why Amari Cooper didn't produce last year was the volume. He only had 104 targets last year. Still did what he was supposed to do.
I like Amari Cooper, but I think at this stage in his career, I got to put Terry McLaurin above him.
Can't do it. I can't do it.
Can't do it, won't do it. I hear.
Like, it's close, but I can't do it. I just think that Amari Cooper is just more reliable, but he's also played with better quarterbacks, you know?
Yeah, definitely has. Big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says, we were among the worst teams 3 years ago, underdogs and underclass and pushovers, till we turned corners and doing our jobs at any cost and made it to 2 quarterfinals.
Love that Tudo voice.
Go Italy.
Go Italy. I like that. I like that at the end. Go Italy. That's what's up, man. Shout out to
that's what I figured the fist bump Italy's flag was right there.
I like it, man. We appreciate you pulling up, Tudo, man. Appreciate everybody being here in the building, man. Y'all know what it is. Awthentik and The Beard back at it. Finally. Feels good to talk some football, man.
They said that 101 to 110 was leaked from the top 100 list. Like, I guess
And Terry was not on that either. Wow.
Not on that either. Which is crazy.
I think the wide receiver position is just so, it's so saturated. There's so many wide receivers out there. Like, do you put Terry McLaurin over a guy like Hunter Renfrow? Yeah, look what I'm doing.
Yeah, I do. I don't. But not by much. Very close. I don't know if you saw this. Dang, I can't remember who it was, but Ryan Clark was interviewing somebody. Like, it was either Derwin James or
I love what Joe Deals is saying about Mooney here too. Like, Giants community,
we're big
on Darnell Mooney. He's a beast,
we've been talking about Darnell Mooney since he got drafted. We've been big on Darnell Mooney. But I forget who it was, but somebody asked them like, who's the toughest wide receiver to guard, or the guy that nobody talks about that needs to be talked about. And they said the guy said Hunter Renfrow. And Ryan Clark looked at him like, did you just say Hunter Renfrow? He's like, he's different when he runs his routes.
And you could tell he's not like a speedster, but he finds ways to get open all the time. Sharp route runner, man. He's crispy. I like Hunter Renfrow, and I'm curious to see what the Raiders do now that they got Devontae Adams. Like, how much I drafted Hunter Renfrow on my fantasy league too, and just like, how much does it affect his productivity? Because I think he was over 100 catches this past year, and 1,000 yards, a lot of touchdowns. He's doing his thing. I like Hunter, and he's a dark horse kind of guy. When you talk about wide receivers in this league, he's not a guy that a lot of people are gonna bring up. But he's a good mark as far as like threshold where somebody stands, man. But yeah, thinking about this wide receiver conversation, I got Terry McLaurin maybe outside the top 15. There's just so many. There's so many wide receivers, bro. Like, it's just I don't know. It's like it's so hard to gauge it because his skill set says top 15. But when you factor in all the other guys in the league, it's hard to put him above a lot of other wide receivers on other teams. But I like your numbers. I think your numbers are pretty good. I'm okay with the yards. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with everything. It's good. I think being at his career high for touchdowns was 7, to upgrade that just 1 now with another quarterback, it doesn't hurt me too much.
Big shout out to Rode for the $10 super chat. Says, first and foremost, y'all need to have a show all year, not just football. Figure it out. This season, Giants should not be based off wins and losses, but should be about progression. I think that's a great point. I think that's something that I think both of our teams kind of have to look at. And it's easy for fan bases to get caught up in certain things like that. I think that when you finish with the records that we finished at last year, it's more reasonable to have expectations of improvement than to have expectations of playoffs. Like in the Washington Commanders community, it's crazy. there's people saying that the floor is 10 wins and that the expectations are, the floor is 10 wins and expectations are they need to make the playoffs. I wish we could have. Somebody has to clip because they got a new little feature on YouTube. Somebody's got to clip Awthentic's face just now when I said that Washington Commanders fans said the floor was 10
This is
wins.
ridiculous. That's what I'm telling you about social media, dog. Like you talking to a lot of children sometimes on there. That's why people always ask me why I ask how old are you? Because I need to know, dog. Am I talking to a 7th grader? I need to talk to you like you a 7th grader. When we was out there throwing the football with the little homie, I ain't talking to him like he's an adult. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking to him like he's a child, man. Like, and if you 16 years old trying to tell me about how many quarterbacks you've seen in your lifetime that are going to fail or going to do well or wide receivers or whatever, I got to take it with a grain of salt. You a youngin'. I was just like that, wet behind the ears, just like that, dog. Like, and sometimes it worked out. I can remember with Eli Manning, like, nah, man, he's the guy. And then he wins 2 Super Bowls, and I look like I know what I'm talking about. But in reality, some teams would have just moved on from a quarterback like that after 3 years. I'm sure the name helped and all that helped, but like, yeah, it all factors in. I need to know how old you are. Social media is straight up destroying takes, man. But shout out to Roldy. I agree with what Roldy is saying, but the one thing I think why Giants fans especially are impatient about it, we did this last year, man. We won 6 games in Joe Judge's first year, and everybody was like, oh, it's looking up. Remember, we missed the playoffs by 1 game because Philadelphia tanked against y'all. Took out Jalen Hurts, and now, look, he's supposed to be the franchise quarterback a couple years later. But we felt like this at the end of that year, right? And then Joe Judge comes back and completely fails in 2021, and now it's like we regressed. It's like we got to take a step back, like 2021 didn't even exist in a way, and still look for positives on a bad team, and that's what it is. I mean, I know Joe Shane's coming in here. Salary cap was hell. I told people coming into the offseason, we had salary cap hell. People didn't want to believe it. The only person I saw who said we were in salary cap hell was Tim from Online Big Blue. He's the only other person I saw say that. The Giants were screwed, and now you're starting to see it. They restructured Leonard Williams' contract just recently, like yesterday or today or something like that, and they're paying this guy like quarterback money pretty much for a year. We're screwed right now, and last year almost didn't make any sense, and it didn't give us any progress. There was nothing to look forward, or there was nothing to look from last year and be like, hey, we did this better. We're looking for a bunch of rookies to come in here and hopefully make a splash and we be able to do some things. But I do agree with Roldy. It is about, just getting better. It's not necessarily about the wins or the win column. It's just about getting better and preparing ourselves for the following year, to be honest.
What up, Los?
Los in the building. Man,
Big
Los coined that Vanilla Vic joint. That hasn't worked out too well for us, Los. It hasn't worked out too well for us. Shout out Glock one time in the building. I see Glock. I don't got that sound effect pulled up here, but I got to get that back on the board as well, too. Now, we talked about Terry McLaurin, man. Let's take this over to the New York Giants. I'm curious as to who the people in the chat think will be the stat leader in the receiving department for the New York Giants. I'm going David Sills, man. I think David Sills. No, I'm just playing. But this is the guy who I chose. My man, Kadarius Toney, probably the twitchiest, most agile wide receiver in the entire league right now. And I know the guy has only played a couple of games. He only appeared in 10 games last year, and it felt like he was only on the field for about 4 games. 0 touchdowns on the year. I think a lot of that has to do with the system. A lot of that has to do with the quarterback. But this year, a lot of guys' jobs are on the line, man. People got to show up. Daniel Jones, most important. And I think if Daniel Jones can have a year like what I projected on the stat projection I had here earlier, 2 back, then Kadarius Toney's going to be the guy who's going to be the front runner of the wide receiver department. Man, this is going to sound messed up. But, I like Galladay, right? I really like Galladay. I think he can get back to his old form, right? But I just don't see it with this quarterback. There's the chemistry from day one was not right. You saw.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, we saw at the game live when, Galladay's on the sidelines. They tried to deflect that a little bit, me included, saying that, he was targeting his anger towards Jason Garrett. I went back and looked at it because people on Twitter was talking about it recently, and they were like, man, just look at Daniel Jones' energy when he sits on the bench when Galladay is screaming, and then look at how he kind of bucked up, like you at the club or somebody talking some shit or something, right? You'd be like, man, what the hell you just say, dog? Daniel, he had one of them looks like, yo, I'm still like, that's how Daniel was looking at Galladay. So just no chemistry. So I just don't see Galladay being that guy. I see him contributing and having a better year than he had last year.
Oh, So we're going to wait as Awthentik comes back. Listen, I personally I see these numbers right around the same place as Awthentik sees them.
So this new mouse that I got, right, it got a little back button on the joint. I accidentally hit the back button. That joint took me out. But I see Galladay, producing maybe like a good 600 to 700 yards. I'm hoping that Kadarius Toney can just show y'all he's a number one. Give me like a CeeDee Lamb type of year. Show us you're a number one. And then, maybe Gowdy can follow you up with like a good 600, 700, 800 yards, 3, 4 touchdowns, something like that. Somebody going to have to step up. This whole like it seems like the New York Giants the past 2 years have just been like Daniel Jones is just spreading the ball around in mediocrity. Everyone has like bogus stats. Kenny Galladay last year 521 yards, and he's the leader on the New York Giants. Come on, dog. that makes no sense, bro. You got wide receivers like Jamar Chase putting up 500 yards in 4 weeks of football. And Galladay was out there for 14 games. To be our leader with just that little bit of yards makes no sense. And no receiving touchdowns. This has been a problem since Daniel Jones has gotten here. Darius Slayton has been the touchdown leader for the New York Giants for 3 consecutive seasons. Makes no sense at all. And he was the yardage leader for 2 of those 3 seasons. Last year was the only year that he wasn't the yardage leader. And Darius Slayton's a 5th-round draft pick who at best is a number 2, number 3 kind of wide receiver. I'd say number 3, to be honest. He's a Ted Ginn Jr. If you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a junior Ted Ginn Jr., right? So, for me, I'm looking at this like Kadarius Toney, you got to go off. And if Kadarius Toney don't go off this year, they're going to start looking at him like, all right, it's time to move on. Let's just be real.
That's a little quick, but
yeah, I'm not saying he won't be a Giant, right, in 2023. But they'll start to look at him like, yo, this guy can't be a number one, and Galladay is not it. We need to find a way. And then you're gonna, oh my God, if we got to go into another draft, thinking about drafting wide receivers, I'm looking at this Wan'Dale Robinson pick, and I was one who in the beginning said, watch, y'all gonna eat your words on Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm starting to feel a little shaky about that now. Like, I saw him in the preseason when he did get the ball in space. He's not really making people miss. Like we think he's supposed to be making people miss. I'm not saying he's going to have a bad year or nothing. I'm high on Wan'Dale Robinson. The dude made plays at Kentucky. He was a baller for sure. But it's starting to look like, well, who's going to be that guy? Like, I'm sure Giants fans are like, maybe it's going to be Gowdy who's going to be the yardage leader again. Or maybe it'll be a guy like Slayton. Maybe some have Wan'Dale Robinson as the yardage leader. I got to go with Kadarius Toney because with my eyes, what I saw in that game against Dallas, for one, he had Mike Glennon out there throwing in the ball, and he broke the rookie record for the Giants as far as yards in a game, 189 yards. That is an amazing feat for a guy like that who, was injured for most of the year.
And you know what's interesting too is I saw somebody ask, do you think that Kenny Galladay has that dog in him, right? And then just right now, I just started to really think about that Kadarius Toney game, right? If I'm not mistaken, that was in Dallas too, right?
Yeah, it was in Dallas. Yep.
So in Dallas, as a rookie, so you're going against a division opponent on the road, and you break that record
with a backup quarterback.
With the backup quarterback. I mean, that shows me that it's in him. Now it's just a matter of, can it be throughout an entire season?
Yep, and the health is the major concern for him. I'm more concerned about Kadarius Toney with the injuries over every player on the New York Giants. I'm worried about Daniel Jones getting hurt. I'm worried about Galladay as well, and I'm worried about Barkley. But at the same time, if Kadarius Toney gets hurt, our wide receiver room is going to take a major hit. I could lose any one of the other wide receivers before I lose Kadarius Toney. I mean, y'all saw it on the transition clip that we pulled up right before this when I show you Toney. Like, the cut, I got to show it again because the cut, like, it just shows you how elusive this guy is. And Diggs is no slouch. He's not a guy who's just getting burnt left and right. This dude's getting picks. I know he allows yards and stuff like that. But when you look at how he lost him on this play, I mean, bro, the way he's losing that first corner for the Rams right there, and then look at the Diggs one. Oh, you out of here. This guy can do everything.
Nasty.
It's nasty. He can do everything. It's all about him just staying focused. I do think that there was a focus problem with him last year, and a lot of Giants fans kind of, they don't like what Pat Leonard was doing with Kadarius Toney in the press conferences and stuff like that, trying to make him say, stupid, silly stuff. I enjoy that stuff because at the end of the day, I want Kadarius Toney to be a brick wall. I want him to just be able to be a professional, man. Like, don't allow these reporters to get you all shaken up and you start losing your cool and all that, bro. I need you to go out here and be that guy. I want to see him mature. So where there's smoke, there is fire, right? So I think that the Kadarius Toney stuff, there's a little bit of smoke there and there's a little bit of fire there. Like, there might be a commitment issue. I know a lot of people want to bring it back to his rap career and all that. I don't think got nothing to do with that. It's just about being the guy or not being the guy. You see people come into this league with talent all the time, and then they just the glitz of the NFL, it bombards them and it overwhelms them. I think, rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins was a product of that. Like, the whole being the guy he was not ready for that, you know. And you got to understand that when you come into this league, yeah, you in the NFL and you're, you know, everything you did in the past is cool, right? But now they looking at what can you do for us now. All that stuff you did in college is cool. Them highlights is cool. But eventually they're going to be buried by highlights either in the NFL or lowlights, and you're going to be out of the league. Kadarius Toney, it's reminding me of Percy Harvin. You got to get it together, my guy. You got to go out here and ball way out, because we know when it comes to the intangibles and the skill set that Kadarius Toney has, there might be 2 wide receivers in the whole entire league that can do what this kid does. He's got to come out here and show that he could be a number one. The guy who I compare Kadarius Toney to that's in this league right now, I'm glad Monique popped up, is CeeDee Lamb. That's who Kadarius Toney can be, but more dynamic when he catches the ball in open space. He can be faster, quicker, get you more moves, more touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb's the kind of guy who I feel like he's a ball hawk. When the ball in the air, he one of them dudes that's like, I'm getting it. You're not getting the ball. Kadarius Toney, I won't say he's got the ball hawk skills like CeeDee Lamb, but where he makes up for that is in the intermediate game. You see some of these routes where he caught the ball like 8 yards. He might only got like 6-7 yards after the catch, but he made like 8 people miss. You know, so I think he can do these numbers. 5 touchdowns. The dude had 2 touchdowns last year, stopped at the goal line. He should be able to get 5 touchdowns with I'm trying to think of the right word, with a functioning Daniel Jones. A Daniel Jones that's not Daniel Jonesing, as my man Nick Wright would say. You know, Kadarius Toney.
It's so funny. These last names of our quarterbacks, the last name of their quarterbacking is like, you know, Wentzing,
oh,
Jonesing.
Them things is thanging. I think that's where that whole thing came from. You know, when you see a shorty, them things thanging. Like, straight up.
Shout out to Waterfly for the $5 super chat. He's already trying to make a bet with the beard. He says, if Commanders lose game 1, you do next stream with no hat. If they win, I don't bring up Heineke entire season unless he plays 9-9. Listen,
it's a decent bet. It's a decent bet.
We'll contemplate it, Waterfly. We have another episode, 2 other episodes before kickoff this week, so we'll contemplate it for you. We'll contemplate.
Appreciate
it. Big shout out. I saw
the super chat to Waterfly.
Yes, as always, Waterfly. I saw Cop Pizzle in the building too.
Hey, shout out Cop Pizzle one time in the building, man.
They saw that clip. I think when you pointed out and then you really watched it, the move on Diggs.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, dog. Not many people are running routes like that. And I know a lot of people say that Kadarius Toney as a route runner is kind of like unpolished. But when you have like athletic gifts like that, you could afford to maybe slouch out on a route a little bit, you know, and maybe not come out of the break as crazy because he's so quick, so fast. We need to take advantage of that right now. Like those touchdowns that Odell Beckham was getting his first 3 years in the league, first 4 years in the league with the Giants, where he scored over 30 in the first 3 years. Dude was catching short routes and just gone. But you got to capitalize off the youth and the skill set that this guy has right now, because in 5 years, Kadarius Toney's not going to be this elusive or this explosive.
I like these numbers. I was just in my head as you were saying that. I was thinking, calculating a little bit, you know, between, because you know there's a lot of hands out on the Giants too, because I expect Saquon to get a lot of yards out the backfield receiving.
Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
Let's say you know Toney does around and Galladay can both do around below 1,000, and then you know you get Robinson and Slayton in that sort of 500 to 600 range. You know, that's kind of how I see things unfolding. So I'm not necessarily mad at these numbers. I actually like the receptions and might even go a little bit higher on the receptions now that we saw those clips and we started talking about the intermediate stuff. Because maybe they use him in a lot of bubble screens, that sort of situation. And that's an easy way for some of these wide receivers to stack up those reception numbers, is those sort of like, designed plays for the wide receiver where they don't necessarily have to beat somebody on a route, but they're, being set up for a quick catch. The 5 touchdowns, that could be 2, that could be 7. That's a really interesting number right there for the touchdowns for Galladay, for Tony, because I'm thinking about Daniel Jones total touchdowns, but that's where I'm at on
I see Glock saying 78 receptions, right? Are they playing 30 games? I feel you, right? But look, Kadarius Toney barely played last year, and he had just under 40 catches. He barely played. Yeah. I feel like he was only there for the Rams game and the Cowboys game. Outside of that, it's like we didn't really see Kadarius Toney. Now, let me look at his logs real quick, because targets was a major issue for him early in the year. I know y'all remember that, man. We were like, all Giants fans were like, when they going to get my man the ball? First round pick, he should be contributing to this offense right now. And they slow played him the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season. Dallas was the first time that he had over 9 targets. He had 13 targets in that game for 10 catches. Most of his games are under 5 targets. He had another game against Monday night game against Tampa Bay where he had 12 targets for 40 yards. So if you break that down, right, 78?
Mm-hmm.
How many catches a game is that? Let me pull out this phone real quick. I ain't about
78 divided by 10 would be 7.
No,
so
78 divided by 17.
No, I know, but I'm doing 10 math.
It's 4.5 catches
a game.
3.5,
4.5.
Yeah, 4.5 a game. That from Kadarius Toney, if he can stay healthy, I could totally see that happening, man. Shout out to Taj World in the building one time, man. Definitely a day one supporter of the gang, man. Appreciate you pulling up, brother, man. And it's good to be back. It's good to be back.
Davion Taylor says Slayton was excused from practice today. Does that mean anything? Because Blake had got cut when he was excused from practice.
I don't know. I ain't gonna look too crazy into it. Slayton seems like he's gonna be on this roster unless they can find a way to replace him. You remember when we went to the season last year? I was like, man, they got a lot of wide receivers, because we still had fake Odell Beckham, Dante Pettis. We had John Ross. We had Sterling Shepard. We had Kadarius Toney from the draft. We had Kenny Galladay. Who am I missing? Darius Slayton. 7 wide receivers, right? And I felt like they were investing too much into the wide receiver room. And there was some other, Colin Johnson was out there. And I feel like there was one more. And then people start getting hurt, and you're like, oh. I got to see why they invested so much in the wide receiver room.
You gotta have depth, man. Depth is super important in the National Football League for sure. 100%.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And Carlos says, wasn't it the system? I blame half of it on the system, half of it on the quarterback. Daniel Jones is an anomaly outside of those 3 games from 2019. It's like the dude throws 1 touchdown a game. That's what he does. Just keeping it real, man. And sometimes you could be a game manager and that not be a bad thing. Could you imagine if he wasn't fumbling his rookie season? They would have praised him. He would have been best rookie quarterback we've seen in such a long time. Granted, Herbert comes back the next year and it says, let's quiet down all that Daniel Jones talk.
Yeah, hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer. But, yeah, Daniel Jones is a 1 touchdown kind of guy. I'm hoping that this system can actually help him and maybe step it up for him, and maybe he can, find a way to put up 2. It don't got to be 2 a game like the Beard wants, but give me 1.5. Give me 1.5 a game. We'll be able to do some things, man. So
gotta love those half touchdowns.
You gotta love those half touchdowns, man. That was a problem for me when we first started doing the parlay. I'm like, they're favored by 6.5. What? It's kind of crazy, but that wraps up the stat prediction for the wide receivers department and for all the departments in that matter. I like where we're going with this, man. It seems like you're higher in every category. You were higher on the wide receiver with the statistics of your number 1 wide receiver versus mine. You were higher on the running back, and you were higher on the quarterback. So pretty much saying that the Washington Commanders are going to, beat the crap out of my New York Giants this year. Both times. Y'all swept us last year, so we owe y'all some money.
We're going to see.
We shall see, man. Definitely appreciate everybody pulling up in the building. So, for those of y'all, and let me zoom this in a little bit, old man eyes getting a little bad as we get older here. For those of y'all who follow us on Twitter, you know that we got a new sponsorship this season, and super excited to talk about this sponsor. I think it's a pretty funny kind of sponsor. And they've been doing their due diligence in the sports world. They've been sponsoring a lot of different podcasts, nationally known, some locally, some small podcasts, 2,000 and under like us, and some very large podcasts such as Pat McAfee and a few others. But we just got a sponsorship from Manscaped. Let's get that logo on the screen while we do this. Read, my man, The Beard. Manscaped, The Beard. I think you're the reason why we got the sponsorship. They're just like, look at this hairy bastard. Let's give them the Manscaped sponsor. So let's get this read out the way real quick and give y'all a little bit of information on Manscaped. So today, support for Awthentik and The Beard is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Dropping bars, and me as a rapper, I like that. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. So we're giving you 20% off and free worldwide shipping, not just shipping in the U.S., but worldwide shipping with our code AATB. That's AATB, like Awthentik and The Beard, the acronym for that. And all you got to do is just go to manscaped.com, plug in that code on your checkout. It's going to give you 20% off, and it's going to give you free worldwide shipping. Now, look, I'm going to keep it funky with you. For me, with the whole Manscaped thing, right, they weren't on my radar that much because, there's a major difference between the Caucasian grooming community and the African-American grooming community, okay? Like, Caucasian dudes, they like to shave with a Bic razor. Man, if I put a Bic razor blade on my cheek, I'm going to break out in the most nastiest amount of bumps you're ever going to see. That's how, I don't know what it is about melanin, but black people, you cannot put no razor. If you put a razor on the back of your fade, you are done. For about 9 months, you're going to have bumps on the back of your. So for me, when I saw Manscaped reach out to us, I was kind of like, I normally keep my clippers. I got some Andis clippers, some gray Andis clippers. Any black dudes, I know you know about that from the barbershop, the gray clippers that they hit you with the shape up, get your shape up real sharp. If mine was sharp right now, I would show you. But the Andis clippers do a good job. So when Manscaped sent me the package, I was kind of like, all right, what is all this, So they sent over, and I don't got the exact names for the packages for this episode, but moving forward, I will have the exact names for these packages. They sent us the 4.0 package. I forget what it's called, but I know it's the 4.0 version. And it came with a pair of boxers that were like, for, kind of like it's like a workout boxer kind of, almost like an Under Armour vibe, to keep that sweat like not getting out of your boxers and whatnot. If you rocking some all white linen or something, some all white like I was rocking at the wedding, I had the Manscaped draws ceremony. On. Man, it was a great day to put the Manscaped draws on. It came with some ball balm, so like I just take a little bit of that ball balm, I get right up underneath my balls and I just kind of give them a little pat, and, you stay dry. Summer days, hot days, man, 80 degrees out there. I never knew that these kind of products existed. The number one product out of the 4.0 package that I'm getting use out of is that nose hair trimmer. Now, dog, people be saying, you're authentic, man. I don't know how you 39 years old, dog. You look like you whatever, right? I'm like, bruh, if you could see me up close, these nose hairs, not only are they getting longer, they're getting grayer. So I need that nose hair trimmer. For me, out of that package, I've been getting the most use out of the nose hair trimmer. I forgot they sent us some T-shirts, too. I should have rocked the T-shirt today because we got the T-shirt as well. And then you got is it the ball spritz? I believe it was the ball spritz. Yeah. So it's like a cologne for your balls. Like I never thought about grooming my balls, but Manscaped's got me on these vibes. So make sure y'all go to Manscaped. I encourage everybody to do this. And I know they say it's a man's product, but ladies, man, like, if you need a nice little trimmer for downstairs, that trimmer is popping. It got a little guard so it don't catch you. If I were to try to use my Andis clippers downstairs, bro, it'd be the last time we use clippers downstairs. I'll keep it funky, Beard. Last thought on the Manscaped thing for me. I ain't tried that I'm not anything that goes, I haven't tried that yet downstairs. I haven't tried that. Okay? I know people grooming, they're going crazy with that nowadays, balding down there. But for me, I can't do that. But you do got a funny story, and tell me your experience with Manscaped as well.
Yes. So first of all, and ladies, don't forget, you don't just can buy them for yourself, but it is a perfect gift. Perfect gift. Go get yourself the Manscaped package. Don't forget, you guys can click there's a link and the code is in the description of this video. But yes, my Manscaped moment goes as follows. So, Awthentik hit me up. He's like, yo, Manscaped hit us up. They sent us this package. I'm like, all right, bet. Like, I've been kind of, trying to figure out what I'm going to do down there. So I went and I linked up. Awthentik gave me the box. I get home. I said, man, I opened it up. I said, man, this box is legit. First of all, the packaging is dope. You know what I'm saying? And then, when you're doing a lot of like outdoor activities, whether you golfing or you landscaping, you got to be manscaping if you're landscaping because, you get a little chafing down there. The ball bomb help for that too.
A little chafing down there.
You know what I'm saying? So if for those of you that don't know, we just got married, me and my lovely wife, Josie.
Yeah, definitely not Awthentik and The Beard.
No. So the day of the wedding, right, it is hot as balls, pun intended, okay? And so we're out there, and while we are, the photographer has Josie and I getting ready to take our pictures. So we're kind of like, walking around, we're taking all these different pictures, right? And the photographer says to us, he says, hey, Tim, I just need you to lean into her ear and whisper something and make her smile, make her laugh. So I leaned over into my wife's ear and I said, Josie, I shaved my balls last night. And
so you did use the ball trimmer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used the ball trimmer 100%. I used a lawnmower. So I told my wife, I said, hey, I shaved my balls last night. And wait, next episode, I'll show you the picture because we got it framed downstairs.
Wait, the picture of what? I don't want to see the picture of your balls.
No. No, the picture of me whispering to her that I shaved my balls. And the picture turned out absolutely amazing, beautiful. Shout out to our photographer. Shout out to Manscaped.
Photographer killed it. He was really good, man.
Yeah, he was really good. And shout out to Manscaped for providing us with the materials needed to make the night of my wedding even more special. So
definitely,
make sure you guys are checking out Manscaped. The link is in the description below, along with our code. Don't forget to use that code.
Yes.
Get you guys
AATB.
some percentages off.
Yeah, to get you 20% off and free shipping worldwide using that code AATB. If somebody could put that in the chat, just in case anybody's not hearing the podcast, put that hashtag AATB. Use that at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And use the code AATB. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Shout out to Manscaped, man. Somebody go over there. We're on a pretty much like on a trial run right now with the sponsor with Manscaped. So if you need something to, for the grooming situation downstairs, make sure to go over there. Refer somebody. Use that code AATB at Manscaped. Appreciate that, Nick DeWitt, for putting that in the chat. We're going to take a very, very short quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back with some opinions on the NFC East, who's going to finish first, and where all the other teams will rank in the division. So stay tuned. We'll be right back in just a second.
Your wide receiver on IR? Oh, shucks. Your running back keep fumbling every week? Man, damn it all. Well, come chop it up with your boys. We are waiver wire tight. Awthentik and The Beard. Every Sunday morning, streaming live at 11 a.m.
Y'all know what it is, man. Check us out. This Sunday is going to be the first show for the parlay, man. It's going to be a really good one. We're going to be chopping it up about our fantasy teams that we did in the Homie Mo's League and, giving as much advice as we can right now this early in the season, man. And, bring your lineups to the table, man. We'll chop it up. We'll try to come to the best conclusion to see if we can all get some wins in our fantasy leagues and maybe make some money, man. There's a big pot on the line in that league. That was a $155 league, I believe, with Mo's League. So I'm trying to take that, man. If we could take the first place and the second place, that'd be real nice for Awthentik and The Beard.
What, Awthentik and The Beard championship game?
Oh, that will be fire.
Okay.
We got to do
Can
that.
Can I just say something really fast? I just got an email on my phone from PayPal with a $10 off from Manscaped.
That's crazy. Manscaped is everywhere, man. They out here really putting these dollars to the promo, man, and bringing in new customers. And I think the reason why they're doing that is because they know they got a great product. And maybe people like me that are out there like, yo, I can't mess with no Manscaped. It's like, I see some clippers in Walmart. I'm like, I can't buy those clippers. That's not going to work out. And actually using the product with Manscaped, I found out, man, it's an incredible product across the board. I enjoy all the products. I mean, I haven't used the ball spritz that much, but I did use it at the wedding, man, because it was about a good 95 degrees out there, man. It was cooking, and I think we both managed to do pretty well underneath that sun, man, and did all right. So make sure y'all use that code AATB, man, with Manscaped. But before we get up out of here, we wanted to go over a couple of things. This for my homie Monique. You know, I know she wanted to talk Dallas a little bit and, you know, all that. And I wanted to surprise the Beard and bring a little bit of the vibes from Giant Overreaction to Awthentik and the Beard here. So we did our stat predictions. He pretty much has me mollywopped on all the stats here. Quarterback, wide receiver, running back. I kind of want to know where you stand on, and you know what? I forgot. I got a clip lined up that's so vicious. So we're going to start with this. Yeah, we'll start with these three. So I'm going to go with, we did our stats for each team, our teams, but I want to know where that falls and lies within the NFC East. You got Carson Wentz up there. I think it was like 38. Now I got to ask you this question. Which quarterback will lead the NFC East in passing yards and passing touchdowns? Let's not hang on these topics too long.
Yeah.
But who do you think is going to be the quarterback in the NFC East that will lead in passing yards and passing touchdowns? Chat, y'all let me know as well, too. What quarterback from which team? Do y'all got Jalen Hurts? I said this to myself in the pre-meeting with the Beard. I said, what if it's Jalen Hurts? You know how that would shock people. People's feelings will be hurt about that. Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones, what's your guy's name? Carson Wentz, Tyrod Taylor, Taylor Heineke. Who do you got leading the NFC East in passing yards and passing touchdowns? Jameson is here early along with No Mets, No Nets, No Jets, and they both say Dak.
So I think by the end of this season, Jalen Hurts has the possibility of being the best quarterback in the NFC East. Okay. But that being said, I still think that Dak Prescott's going to lead the NFC East in passing yards.
Yeah.
I am a little skeptical though on touchdowns. I think that losing Amari Cooper is going to have a little bit of hurt on him. I still think he's probably the best passing quarterback in the NFC East, but I still think that Jalen Hurts is the best all around. Has a potential.
Well, I like how you know they was gonna clip that up and run with that. You would have saw that on Twitter tomorrow. Like, y'all ain't gonna believe what the Beard. The Beard just said that Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFC East. Is that what you saying?
He has the potential to be. You know, this is a make or break year for him. He has A.J. Brown now, so I think you're going to see his passing numbers go up, and I think he's still going to, put up some significant running numbers. I'm going to take it safe, and I'm going to say Dak leads the NFC East in passing yards and passing touchdowns this year.
Somebody got to go out on a limb here. It's going to be me. I'm going Jalen Hurts.
Hey,
I'm going Jalen Hurts. I like the upgrade with A.J. Brown out there. Second year, Devonta Smith. They might mess around and have two wide receivers break 1,000 yards this year. I'm going Jalen Hurts. And I think the pressure is just cooking on him. I think he knows it. The window is right now. Like, you don't want to wait around till next year when the pressure is absolutely cooking. Go out there and show people this year that you are way better than what they think you are. 26 total touchdowns last year for Jalen Hurts. 19 of them were passing, I believe. Might have been even less than that. It might have been like 16 for real.
I think he might.
Yeah, he had 10 rushing. He had 16 passing touchdowns.
Yep, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year.
I think he's going to make the jump.
Yards.
He's going to be in that 28, that range. I don't know if he'll breach the 30, but I think he's going to be in that 28 range. I'm going with Jalen Hurts. I'm feeling a little froggy, so I'm going to go ahead and leap. I'm trying to read what Kai says here. He says, how the Eagles get more for Rager than we did for Cooper.
Jerry Jones.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's why. Jerry Jones, man.
Yeah, that is very interesting because Amari Cooper, I mean, yeah, he's definitely that real deal. And what did he get traded for? A 6th rounder, I think?
Something ridiculously insane that he got traded for.
Mike B said Hurts has potential to be a dog shit quarterback. So I think that's the case too. I mean, not necessarily like dog, but like the thing about Jalen Hurts is he's got that gamer in him. And I think Dak Prescott has that in him too. But Jalen Hurts got that gamer in him, man. Go look back.
And,
like the dude
leading rusher on the
leading rushing team. He's got big weapons now. Big weapons. Yo, big and people like to look at that the playoff game against the Bucs, right? It's almost like the last moment you remember from a person, right? And he looked bad against the Bucs, but we got to take it in consideration. The Bucs defense had his number, And then go look at who's the leading tight end now that's over there. Is it
Dallas Goedert?
Dallas Goedert. I looked at the QB school breakdown from JT O'Sullivan. Bro, Goddard had a absolute awful game. I challenge all of y'all to go back and look at 2 videos. Look at the video that the QB school did on Jalen Hurts last year, entering the year, talking about his footwork, how bad it was, talking about how he wasn't aiming his shoulders towards the position where he was going to be throwing towards his first reads and things like that. And then go look at the one that he did after preseason this year, where he broke down the Bucs game and he broke down some of the preseason throws. Man, I think Jalen Hurts is in for a big year. I think he's in for it. Like, he was one of the higher fantasy quarterbacks last year. I think he's going to be even a greater fantasy quarterback this year, and he wasn't flying off the boards this year.
Top 5 fantasy quarterback this year. I'm calling it out right now. Top 5 fantasy quarterback this year. Speaking of fantasy quarterbacks, big shout out to Nick the Wick for the $1.99 super chat. Says, people calling me crazy. Thoughts on Trey Lance fantasy? I love Trey Lance. Trey Lance was my number 1 prospect of all the quarterbacks coming out in that draft class. And when it comes to fantasy, I think you'll see, him put up some big fantasy numbers. Once again, they have already built a team around him. A lot of times it's difficult because you get the quarterback, but then there's no building around him. They've already built the team around him, and then he just kind of he's already going in there, and he had Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, great offensive mind on the coaching staff, good running back. So yeah, I
would
like.
You trade your wide receiver core for theirs?
That is tough. Yes, without thinking about it, yes, yeah.
I think Brandon.
I'm a big
Ayuk is a
guy.
Little overvalued. I think he's a little overvalued.
I think he's undervalued. And George Kittle over Logan Thomas,
Kittle
and
for
Deebo and Mclaurin are
I would
1A,
1,000% do it with the Giants. I think. Yeah, I think I would do it with the Giants. With y'all, I don't know. You got the unknown of Jahan Dotson, and Logan Thomas he's a touchdown dependent kind of tight end.
Yeah, but George Kittle's a dog.
I mean, George Kittle, top 3 tight end in the league. And I scooped him on my fantasy. So, yeah, I definitely like him. I just think Brandon Ayuk makes that wide receiver core a little less. He does things that Deebo does not as well.
Understand. That's a good assessment. I won't argue much with that. Big shout out to Sebastian with a $4.99 super chat. Says, calling it now, Eagles win the division, and Jalen Hurts will be a major reason why. As a Giants fan, this hurts to predict because I hope DJ can ball out.
I like it.
I don't think you might not be the only one.
I'm with you on this. I think the Eagles are going to win the division, and I think Jalen Hurts, he's going to shock. It's like Lamar going into that 2019 year. It's like that, dog. It's like people like, yo, this guy can't. All of y'all on record. I keep receipts, man. I got big receipts on Twitter, content creators, fans, friends, fam, all y'all. Everybody was saying the same thing about Lamar Jackson. This guy can't even throw the ball.
Except for us, too, here at Awthentik.
Except for us. I mean, I don't want to be that guy, like I told you, but that's one of them ones that we kind of got right. And I hope everyone, no one's talking about Jalen Hurts like that. People don't think he has the capabilities to do it. I think he has the capabilities, and I know you do too. So we'll see. We shall see. I think that team is ready to go. They're ready to win. Now let's take this to the next category here. Same kind of question. Which running back will lead the NFC East in rushing yards at the end of the season?
I love how you have Jalen Hurts as the running
back. I was like, is he going to peep that? I was like, is he going to peep that I got Jalen Hurts in the running back category? Yeah, you like that, right?
All right, this one's tough, okay, because I can't say Antonio Gibson because I know I'm assuming Brian Robinson comes back this year. Because Antonio Gibson was the leading running back in the NFC East last year. So assuming that Brian Robinson comes back, I think that's going to make it a little bit less yardage for Antonio Gibson. I think Zeke's going to lose a lot of his workload to Tony Pollard. I think Philadelphia just has so much of a stable of running backs. They like to, spread the ball out on the ground, and then you have Jalen Hurts as well. I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is going to lead the NFC East in rushing yards this season.
Giants fans is digging that. I'm thinking Saquon, too. I'm kind of thinking Saquon myself. I'm going to just keep it funky, though, and just go with my gut. I'm going to go Zeke Elliott. Prove it year, man. You know, and you heard Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones said, this is running through Zeke Elliott. This ain't running through no Pollard. We running through Zeke, and Pollard's going to be that complement. So unless things drastically change, I'm going Zeke Elliott. I think he'll be on the field too because he's one of the better blocking running backs in the league, especially in the NFC. So I'm going Zeke Elliott. It's not going to be nothing crazy. It's going to be around what Antonio Gibson had last year. I'm going to take Zeke Elliott on that one. All right, let's keep the theme going.
A lot of people saying Saquon in the chat.
A lot of people saying Saquon. That's what's up. I hope it's Saquon. Mr. Mini Guy said Zeke been slipping. Yeah, he's been slipping a little bit. He definitely been slipping a little bit. I think he's capable, though. Offensive line over there with the Dallas Cowboys has took a hit, too.
Yep.
So
and
that don't
signed
do well
Jason
for my
Peters
prediction.
to the practice squad.
I did
So it'll be
that.
interesting to see when he gets called up. Called up, like, I always want to say called up because it's like the practice squad is basically like the minor league of baseball.
Yeah,
Shout out
right?
to the Baltimore Orioles, by the way.
Yeah, whatever. I don't watch no baseball, man. Forget the Baltimore. Like, look, let me tell you something funny about that, though. I be watching a lot of content creators, right? And they do, like, baseball footage in conjunction with their football stuff. As soon as they start talking baseball, I'm just like, I'm out of here. I'm not watching no baseball content. I'm not watching no hockey content. Can't do it. I'm football, and that's it. Straight up football. A little bit of basketball here and there, but that's about it.
The only one who said Miles Sanders. Shout out to the Currys.
He's coming in a little bit banged up. Just got back to practice a couple weeks ago. I want to say last week, actually. But Miles Sanders, yeah, he's got the potential to be that guy. Gets hurt all the time. He kind of be fumbling a little bit himself. But let's move this to this category here, the last one. Which pass catcher will lead the NFC East in receiving yards at the end of the season?
Oh, this easy.
This easy?
Easy peasy.
Terry McLaurin?
Terry McLaurin.
I'm going
Scary
CeeDee Lamb.
Terry dropped the top off the Mclaurin is going to be the leading wide receiver without a question. CeeDee Lamb was it. I think he was what's the difference in their yards? CeeDee Lamb had 1102 and
I didn't even know he had that much.
McLaurin had 1053. So they were very close.
That's with Amari Cooper there. I'm going CeeDee Lamb definitely now then. What?
That's a good point. No Amari Cooper,
I forget
but then
who the other wide receiver is. The Cowboys picked up. Oh, the Cowboys picked up Washington from the Pittsburgh Steelers. You remember that kid?
Yeah, but then he got hurt.
He's hurt now.
Done. He's
done
out
for the year.
Out for the year.
They on struggle mode. So they got who they got over there now? They got Gallup coming off the injury, who I heard he took the brace off or something like that the past couple weeks. And who's the third?
One of their rookies, Jalen Tolbert, or their second-year player, Semi Fioco. Who knows?
People have been talking about Tolbert. My homie Steele, who I be watching, he's on the A to Z Dallas joint. He was talking about Tolbert a lot too. I'm going CeeDee Lamb.
Got a lot of A.J. Brown love in the chat here.
It could be A.J. Brown too. A.J. Brown was right around 1,000 last year too, right? Like 1,100 maybe.
Yeah. No, A.J. Brown got hurt a lot. Oh, he missed a lot of games
for a chunk of the year, but he still put up some numbers, right?
Yeah, I mean, he put up decent numbers. I don't know if he crossed 1,000 yards or not.
I was hoping you was going to look them things up. Let me see.
I kind of forgot about AJ.
869 last year. 5 touchdowns, 869. So he's got some work to do if he's going to want to be the leader in the NFCs. I like the A.J. Brown take, but it's I just don't know. The unknowing, with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is going to ball out, but I don't think it's dependent on A.J. Brown. I just think Jalen Hurts is just going to ball out. You're going to see that leader pop out this year for sure. And you saw it some last year. But I don't I'm not mad at your pick with Terry McLaurin. I think Terry McLaurin's a good solid pick. Now, I want to transition this into just 2 more questions before we get out of here. We're pushing 2.5 hours. That's cool. It's the debut show. We're doing a good job here. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat, man, and it's popping. It's moving. I feel like I'm behind the sticks. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get this first down one time. But I wanted to play because I want to talk to you about also like the record predictions for each of these teams, for the Washington Commanders and for the New York Giants, and a little bit of talk at least about the other teams that are in the NFC East. But I wanted to play this clip from Nick Wright. Nick Wright has a new podcast. You should see the way he looks on this show. It's a betting podcast, right? And he brought his homie up there who literally knows nothing about football. Like, dude didn't know, like, A.J. Brown was on the Eagles, for example. Like, stuff like that. He just does not know anything about football. And Nick Wright, he's in a more of a casual, like, he's being himself on this podcast. He's in his regular clothes. My dude looked like he was straight up from the Jersey Shore, bro. He was rocking a pinky ring, a blinging watch, He had on like a floral pattern shirt with the 2 top buttons unbuttoned with the taco meat sticking out. Okay. And he was talking like this during the show. And he was talking about how he's extreme, like he has an addiction to betting. He was like, all my bets here are going to be for 1,000 bets and up, but all y'all got to do is translate this to your hundreds or your tenths if you want, and you can apply the same exact betting. And listening to him talk about betting, he's like, dude's like a shark, bro. Like, low key, the dude is like a straight up shark. So I heard this clip on his show where he was talking about the Giants. The Giants were, he's calling this one of his better bets of the year. And I don't want to, say it all. So I'm going to just play the clip for y'all. Y'all take a listen to this clip one time. Let me see. I got it right here.
All right. The Giants. I bet them under 7.5, and I paid heavy juice at -145. The line is now moved to 6.5 if you want to bet the under, and you get plus money on it. Either way, I like it. I don't know if full disclosure, I don't know if I would have bet it at 6.5, but I hammered it at 7.5. The Giants are just a bad team. They might, Kenny Golladay, as of recording, who's the most expensive receiver in the league this year as a cap hitter, one of the 3 most, is in risk of getting cut from the team, even though he has $18 million guaranteed because he's been so unimpressive in training camp. Daniel Jones is still Daniel Jones.
Jeez.
I like their new head coach, Dable, who obviously was the coordinator with Josh Allen. I don't like their roster. What they need is Saquon to have a monster year. Saquon might be snake bit by the NFL injury bug. More of the story is I love them under 7.5. I like them under 6.5. I loved them enough under 7.5. I paid the 145 juice.
Okay, so you hear what he's saying right there. He's pretty much saying like the 7.5 is a gimme, like make your money. Now, a lot of people like make the same reaction you made when you heard Nick Wright's name, right? I like to think about these analysts like if he was my homie and he said these takes, right? My homie can say takes that are horrible all day long, and I won't be like, I hate the beard. But we do that with these analysts, right? Like people do the same thing with Colin Cowherd. But at the end of the day, I think Nick Wright, with his job, he does a fantastic job. This guy knows his game. His opinion makes people not like him. For me, I can't hate you for your opinion, right?
Yeah.
I can hate you for your vibes and like how you treat people and how you speak to people and all that stuff, right? But I noticed that Nick Wright gets a pretty bad rap. Now, what are your thoughts about that?
He has some pretty awful takes. He has some pretty awful takes.
Everyone has awful takes, bro.
Yeah, but see,
I can call bad takes between me and you right now that are so ridiculous that we would have been canceled, bro. Like everybody if you speak on sports for a living, you're gonna have bad takes. That's just what it is.
Okay, there's a difference between bad takes and just ignorant, obnoxiously doesn't make sense logic.
I mean, you could say that, right? But I think that if I were to tell you right now what is the take that makes you feel that way, you won't know it.
His Nick Wright's take on Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson.
Well, what did he say about Terry? He said they're average players.
I forgot what it was, but he's like, I don't even know who he is. He's not even on my radar.
If he's not on the radar, that's not a like. I just told you I couldn't put Terry McLaurin in the top 15. Like it's not an awful take. I'm just saying he gets a bad rap. We don't got to harp on that, right?
Yes,
but I want to know what your opinion is on this take. Him saying that 7.5 is guaranteed money, 6.5, he's taking it. That the Giants are going to be that bad that we won't win over 7 games this year.
Yeah, so he's basically saying that he thinks the Giants are going to win 7 games. That's pretty much where he's at.
Well, he's saying hold on, let me clarify this. This was in his money bet segment of the podcast. He said at 6.5, he's still going to bet it.
Okay, well, the way that he lined it up, he said 7.5, I'm taking it all day.
All day.
6.5, I don't necessarily like it, but I'm still taking it.
Right.
It's pretty much what he's saying. So to me, that says he's worried that they'll get 7 wins. He knows they won't get more than 7 wins, but if he thought it was going to be less, if he thought it was going to be 6 wins, he would say, I love the 6.5. I really love the 7.5.
But that's why I'm giving you some context, because this is in a segment for his show that he's pretty much calling guaranteed bets. Like, these are the bets you want to take. He also had San Francisco over 10. He was like, that's a no-brainer bet. He said when he made this bet now, it was at 7.5, but that it's at 6.5. He still kept it in the segment,
Yeah.
So he's saying, go out there and do it. You think the Giants are going to win more than 7 games? I
So
saw your notes you sent me about the record predictions, and they were kind of crazy.
They were. Listen, there is part of me that thinks that the Giants can finish with the season with a winning record. So I wouldn't take listen, to me, like, and I'm a betting guy, right? To me, betting the Giants under 7.5 is not a bad bet, but there's no way I could comfortably say that that's a guaranteed moneymaker. You want a guaranteed moneymaker? Houston Texans over 4.5 wins. But no way I'm taking the New York Giants.
You like the Texans over 4 better than the Giants under 6.5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it real with you. And this is just what the culmination of the years have done to me. I like the bet. I think Nick Wright's spot on. This team is probably gonna win 6 games. 6 games will look all right for us. Like, the schedule looks easier this year, but that's what teams are thinking about us too. Shout out Rio one time in the building. What's up, fam? So for me, man, I don't know. Like, the Giants we won 4 games last year. I know Daniel Jones was hurt. There's a good chance he gets hurt again. So I like the take. I like the take by Nick Wright, which prompts me to bring up this graphic on the screen right now for you. And I'm going to flip these two. We're going to start like this. At the end of the 2022 season, which team will finish in last place in the NFC East? Chat, how y'all feel about this? I know we got a lot of Giants fans in here. I see Rio pulled up in the building representing them Commanders one time. How y'all feeling about this? I know no one is thinking that the Cowboys or the Eagles are going to finish in last place.
That would be, now listen, you want to talk about some craziness. What if the Cowboys finished in last place?
It would have to take like an injury, like, Dak Prescott getting hurt again or something like that. CeeDee Lamb going down. I think Ezekiel Elliott could be a major hit to them too. The pass pro is very important for Ezekiel Elliott. But for me, I'll give you my answer right now. I got the Giants in last place. I'm not falling for these tricks this year. I want to see this team get off the ground and running and be able to win some unexpected games. Win some unexpected games, and then I'm going to start to think about it like, oh, man, they looking all right.
And listen, and I think that, I told Awthentik before we went live today that I think that the NFC East is actually going to be improved overall as a division. But I am right there, and I think that the New York Giants are going to finish in last place in the NFC East in the year 2022. Now, I have the liberty and the right to change my mind as time progresses.
Especially when we get to week 4 and I start to see, hey, Kadarius Toney out here got 35 of them things already. Well, that might change things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Commanders in second. I like where Sebastian is going with that, except I would flip-flop the Cowboys and the Commanders. The Carson Wentz experiment, it could go either way.
Yeah, that is a legitimate. You want to talk about flip? That's a legitimate coin flip.
Yeah,
it's a 50-50. You're either going to get Wentzing or you're going to get MVP Wentz. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'd say rule out MVP Wentz. That guy's gone.
Okay. Let's say that I should
gone.
stop using that. But
you might be able to get the Colts Wentz. 27-7 Wentz.
Can I get something in between?
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, all right.
Maybe like 30 and 10, or you're 33 and 13. You want me to say that, the 33 and 13?
No,
yeah, so
listen, the Giants, just because the Giants finish in last place doesn't mean that the Giants are going to be 2-15.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, I think they're going to win 6 games. That's where I'm at about with it. I'm about right there. Like, oh, and I want to bring this up one more time right here. Look, some history I found out about the New York Giants. This logo right here that he has as his avatar here, they only used that logo for 1 year because they moved the stadium to New Jersey. So they didn't want to use the NY logo, and that's how we got the straight Giants logo that went throughout the late 70s or whatever and the 80s because they moved to Jersey. I just found that out just yesterday.
You know what's crazy? Out of all the stuff, vintage and sports knowledge that I have, I never knew that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That logo I used to think was like an alternate logo. This past offseason, I found out that it was the logo they used in the 70s for a second, but they only used it for that year. I want to say it was the first year that Bill Parcells came through And he started the other quarterback over Phil Simms, and they were just absolute garbage, 3-win team or something like that. And then they moved to Jersey, and that's why they didn't want to use the NY, because the stadium was in Jersey, so they didn't want to have NY, just tying it to NY. I was like, that's a pretty interesting fact there. But and I like the statement that Forever NYG says there, that I'm supposed to be a realist. I'm not supposed to be a realist. I am a realist, for real. That's what it is. It's just I'm just gonna keep it funky with you how I feel on that day. It might change, but I'm giving you that leeway too to tell you, like, if the Giants come out and we beat the Titans first week, or we compete with the Titans first week, beat the Panthers, beat the Cowboys, I'm gonna start changing my opinion up. But I can't keep falling for the trick bag, right? What's the J. Cole, George Bush, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Like, I'm starting to feel like that. You feel me? Like, I'm not about to just, shout out to Big Pat, right? We talk on Twitter a whole bunch. And Pat said something to me the other day. He said, you got to speak it into existence. And I said, bruh, I don't play for the Giants. If I was going out there suiting up, I'm going to give y'all a little bit more inflated, maybe a little bit more positive vibes, because I'm going to be like, I'm out here doing the work so I can speak it into existence. But I can't, as a fan, speak into existence what's going to happen with these players on the field. If Kadarius Toney wants to go out here and not really produce and focus more on a rap career or something like that, I'm not in control of that. So for me, I just want to see it this year. Last year, we went into the year, I picked the Giants to beat the Denver Broncos week 1. We ended up going out there and pretty much getting blown out. The score looked a little closer. We lost by 13, but we pretty much got blown out in that game. It wasn't a close game. And then you start to see a team that can't even get off the bench, man. They're just losing. And you get to week 7, week 8, and you're like, my season is over. So I'm not going to come out here with these crazy positive vibes, these optimistic vibes of, we're going to be great. I'm looking at a quarterback who his last 2 seasons look like some quarterbacks one season. When you could combine 2020 and 2021 for Daniel Jones, and some quarterbacks have better stats in 1 year of 2021. Like, you could compare
Dak Prescott's
like
injured Dak Prescott's injured year.
And no one talked about that. Nobody said,
bigger stats
Dak comeback player of the year. This dude broke his leg last season and came back out here and balled out. No one even talked about it, because you expect it from a guy like that. Let that have been Daniel Jones. Let Daniel Jones go out here and put up 12 and 10 one year and then come back and put up Dak Prescott numbers. He's a comeback player of the year after a neck injury. But they don't think – it's like we give different players different kind of leadway. It's like people don't want Dak to win. People don't want Jalen Hurts to win, Lamar Jackson. People talking about Lamar Jackson was having an awful season last year. They were 8-3 when he got hurt. Like, we got to look at all players with the same exact scale. And for me, I'm looking at Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, 2 years of jack. What am I just supposed to just think that they're just going to come out here out of nowhere? They're going to be a beast with an offensive line that, was supposed to be rebuilt in the offseason, but look at it. This offensive line might be worse than last year. It might be. We don't know. We gotta see them go out here and play. So for me, proof is in the pudding, man. I got to see these guys do a little. I need to see Daniel Jones put up 3 touchdowns. Something. The offense moving. Brian Dable calling plays that are getting us open. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. I see Carlos asking if Tony has bars. I wouldn't say bars, but he's got some good music. It's more of like a new wave kind of melodic trap kind of auto-tune kind of a sound. He got some good songs though. I will give him that. But yeah, I'm going New York Giants here, man. Anything that's going to change your opinion on that?
Nope. We're both in agreement. New York Giants, bottom of the NFCs.
Yeah, and I want a year where I'm like, I said they was gonna be dookie, and now they're great. Like, you know how great it's gonna feel to get that surprise.
Feeling.
Like,
that's
bro,
a good feeling, man.
The opposite is not a good feeling. It's what happened to me last year. I had to tweet Daniel Jones. I said like 33 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Guy looked very much like your Carson Wentz stats, except they had more yards. I had like 4,500 yards on there. This dude comes out here and gives me 12 touchdowns, like 2,800 yards. Man, that ain't it. So I need to see it. This is a year of proof it though, man. Like, the pressure is cooking. Pressure bust
for everybody.
Is
this
cooking.
Entire division, the pressure is cooking on every single team.
Oh, it's cooking, but I'm talking about like players. Like,
players.
Saquon Barkley,
Zeke
all
Elliott's
these people
under pressure.
He's under pressure, but he got the bag already.
Yeah, but that bag can be gone. That guaranteed money is, what I'm saying?
You're looking at a guy who had a very, very decorated career already.
Decorated?
You cannot put Saquon Barkley in the same stratosphere as Ezekiel Elliott. He's done this every year he's been in the league. He's done it. Saquon Barkley had one good year. That's it.
Okay.
One good year.
I give you that.
Ezekiel Elliott could retire tomorrow, and they'd be like, "Yo, dude was a pretty damn good running back." They won't. If Saquon Barkley retired tomorrow, tell me the 4-letter word they would call him.
Bust.
A bust, exactly, because he had one good year, a phenomenal year, and he has not shown you any flashes of that since. So for me, I think the pressure of everyone is cooking on him. Yeah, it's injury. That's part of it. Hey, best ability, man. You already know. You know what the best ability is. And then Daniel Jones, bro, like the pressure's cooking on him. Carson Wentz, the pressure's cooking on him. Career pressure, he's done. If he does not ball out this year, he's done. Nah, I think Hurts is like the kind of guy who the second chance is waiting, even if he completely flopped this year. Guy had 10 rushing touchdowns. He led the Eagles, who was the number 1 rushing team in the NFL, in rushing. So you know you can do that with him. A team like Seattle, man, Jalen Hurts come out. A team like Seattle could go out there and scoop him up. He'll get a chance again. Mitchell Trubisky got another chance, you know? Mm-hmm. He wasn't doing nothing too major. So I need to see it. That's it. I just want to see it. The pressure cooking. So that might pressure bust pipes, bro. It's either going to make you play great or it's going to make you fold under the pressure. And the Giants, that's what they're looking at this year. So I can't say that they're a better team than Washington. I got Washington down at the bottom. They're my my runner-up for who I would think would be 4th in the division too, because a major injury for y'all could really set y'all back worse than any of the teams, I feel like. If Terry McLaurin is out for a few games, even if Carson Wentz goes down, if Taylor Heineke was the quarterback for y'all, I'm picking the Giants to finish 3rd and Washington Commanders to finish 4th.
Yeah, I think I'll wait to give you where I think, but the Commanders fall into
I got you, because we got just one more here. So on the flip side of the bottom of the division, let's flip it to the top of the division. At the end of the 2022 season, which team will finish in 1st place in the NFC East? You want me to take it or you got it?
The Washington Commanders are going to finish in 2nd place.
I was about to say, you was going to be very optimistic.
No, I think the Commanders and the Cowboys finished with the same record, and Washington is above them on tiebreakers. But I do think the Philadelphia Eagles finish in 1st place in this division.
Philly first, and then you got the tiebreaker going to Washington. So Washington maybe get a wild card?
Yeah. Washington is my 3rd wild card.
Fan, dog. Every year they get to go to the playoffs. Yep. But now I do think y'all are a sneaky team. Y'all are hard to gauge. Been a 7-win team a couple of times now in the past few years. So it's really just trying to get over that hump, man. Just win. Maybe Carson Wentz does that if he can ball out and play, some top tier kind of football. But man, things could get really, really, really ugly for y'all. So Mo says she needs specific records from you. So for me, I'm going Giants 6-11. And that'll be 4th place. I'm going Washington 7-10. I'm going Dallas Cowboys are going to win 10 games. I think they'll win 10 games. And I think Philly will take the division with 11 wins.
I am at Philadelphia. I almost said Phillies. Philadelphia Eagles are going to finish at 11-6. I think Dallas and Washington both finish at 10-7. And I think the New York Giants finish at 8-9.
You got the NFC balling.
I told you that, man. I told you that.
Glock said he loves how you always stay positive. I hate how he always stays positive, Glock.
I'm not always positive. Trust me. For some reason, I feel like the NFC East teams have improved, and I think that the one team that didn't necessarily improve is the Dallas Cowboys. But the Dallas Cowboys were so far ahead of everybody else that I think that even them not improving are still a 10-win team.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, I got you. I agree with the Dallas take. It's just Washington and the New York Giants.
Listen, Washington could easily go 3-14. Let's be straight up real. Washington could easily go 3-14. No question about it.
This is facts.
But we don't know. The wild cards I feel like are Philadelphia, because I think we're in agreement. We both think Philadelphia has made the biggest jump of any team in this division, right? Yeah. And we both agree that the Giants, as they have gotten better, but there's so many unknowns.
Have the Giants got better?
I mean, can they be worse than last year? They were 4 wins.
Yeah.
The schedules, and this other thing too, the NFC East schedule is a lot easier this year on paper than it was last year, especially Washington. Washington's schedule was brutal last year.
Yeah, y'all did have that tough stretch. It was like Packers, Bucks, y'all had a tough stretch in the middle of the season. All of us did, really. And you're right about that. The schedule is a little bit easier, but damn, like 8 wins for the New York Giants. Sebastian says he's going to bet the farm that the Giants won't win 8 games. I mean, look, they were 4-7 with Daniel Jones before he went down. You double that up, you might get about a good 7, 8 wins.
8 wins.
Yeah,
like I said.
You might. I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that. I see a lot of people talking about Sam Howell being the future and whatnot in the chat. That y'all jumping the gun a little early.
Big Sam.
I'm with
Sam.
you,
Uncle Sam.
I'm with you, Benny. I don't want to see him play this year either. Have him sit the bench.
Who's that?
How?
Sam Howell? Yeah,
I don't want to see him play.
Listen.
Unless you
the
know
Sam Howell,
garbage
the
time or
Sam
something.
Howell, the Sam Howell talk is just, that's for fun. But there's no
they got
way.
a rookie drafted in the unknown. They want to know about the unknown. That's really what that is.
But I will tell you this: if we're heading for that 3-14 I talked about, then there's a good chance that you see Sam Howell. That's
Definitely.
the only way.
You might see
That's
him
the only
week
way.
10 if y'all starting off crazy like that. Straight up.
Okay.
Nah, I like where you got that, though.
Yeah. It's
definitely like
it's
where you
going to be
got that.
interesting.
And so last year, I'm glad the standings are scrolling across the bottom here. We had Dallas at 12-5, Philly at 9-8, Washington 7-10, and New York at 4-13. God, man, we were 3 games behind the next position. We were trash last year. I mean, the injury to Daniel Jones definitely hurt us, and the injuries to Kadarius Toney, middle of the year, Saquon, all these injuries, man, just kind of add up, and it made us look worse than I feel like we really were. The highest, this is going to sound crazy to the Giants fans, but the ceiling for me for the Giants is 7. It's going to be a wake up type dream if the Giants could win.
Okay.
9
You want to know
games
what my ceiling is for the Giants?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's not that crazy. I
10?
think the Giants 9 wins is 9 or 10 wins is the ceiling for the Giants. 9 wins.
Yeah, the schedule does, leave us some openings, I will say. You got the Texans on there, you got the Panthers on there, you got the Jaguars on there, you got the Seahawks on there, you got the Bears on there. That's 5 games that are winnable games. But we, the New York Giants, it's tough. It's tough when you're not a good team. When you're an average team, if this was like the Odell Beckham years, let's say this was like 2016, 2017, I would pick the Giants to beat teams like that. But I just don't know where the productivity is going to come from, like, if it's anything like last year. That's the biggest problem for me. Is like, are we just going to night and day change? I mean, you've been on bad teams, The Beard. You know how it is. It takes time to get out of that funk. Sometimes it's the quarterback. Sometimes it's the weapons. Sometimes it's all these things, right? But it just takes time to get out that funk.
Yeah, and this is the thing, too, is like it's very difficult because, everything that you base this on right now has no merit or bearing in reality until they actually play the games. Because what are we basing our thoughts on? We're basing our thoughts off of everything hypothetical. We're basing our thoughts off of
a bit of last year. A bit of last year. The hypotheticals of what the additions are going to look like and what the subtractions are going to look like. We're basing it off a hypothetical based upon what teams are on the schedule and what we think those teams are going to be performing. We're basing it off of training camp and practices. Okay, check this out. I just got some breaking news. Chase Young re-aggravated the ACL just now. It says he was at a Von Miller camp and the team is super not happy about it, that he hurt his knee more, aggravated it at the Von Miller camp. So, that's looking like that's going to be probably a longer timetable. I just got the Bleacher Report update on that.
Bleacher Report, huh?
Yep. They just sent that out. And Bleacher Report, they're not the kind of media outlet that's looking to break things first. I noticed that about them. They usually break stuff after.
I'm surprised we didn't get a rap sheet.
Yeah. So keep your eyes on that. I ain't never got none from Bleacher Report for real where they was just outright, BSing.
That's pretty significant.
Yeah, you still got y'all finishing second?
You know what? Yeah, I do.
you know what?
I do. Now, I mean, my mind is blown right now because you already know how nasty the fan base has
Oh
been
yeah, the bus
towards,
talk and all that. Yeah,
yeah.
it's been wild.
And I have been defending him, and it's been driving me crazy.
Yeah, it's so
Okay.
unfortunate when you defend a player and he's constantly getting hurt. It reminds me of
I
Saquon
got
last
it.
year.
And you know what's crazy is because, okay, so the Ohio State and Notre Dame game, right? They showed him walking in, and because all the stars were at that game, LeBron James, Chase Young, Joe Burrow, like everybody was there for that game.
Yeah,
Especially the Ohio State alumni. And people were taking the video of Chase Young walking in and tweeting it and being like, something's not right. He's walking with a limp. And then other people are like, nah, man, some people just walk with swag, because, Caucasians don't necessarily understand the walk as much as, we do. You know what I'm saying?
I like how you said we do.
Yeah, listen, I could walk in certain places, and not, people won't mess with me because they'll be like, oh, this guy's got a little, he's not like that. He's got a little walk to him. But I will tell you, JP Finley had tweeted out 7 minutes ago, and Chad Ryan also tweeted out 2 minutes ago. Commanders team sources confirms that Chase Young has been with the team's training staff since training camp opened, and there haven't been any setbacks. Also, JP Finley, Commanders since camp opened in late July. Sources tell me no setbacks. He's just working back from the knee injury last November.
In response to this news that just came out?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, so we'll just keep our eyes on that. I mean, if you thinking very optimistic right now. For me, when you see what NYG Mason put up on the screen there? His comment says a lot. Like, Bleacher Report normally gets their information from other people, but the thing about Chase Young is that you would have hoped that they were saying that he would be out for like 3 or 4 games and he'd be ready to go. The talk right now is like, dude is not near ready for week 1.
I mean, the procedure that they had to do on his knee was different than just a normal ACL tear. They had to take it from his other knee and put it in that knee. So that's kind of why his comeback has been longer than, say, a Logan Thomas who tore his knee as well. Shout out to Ahuma. I see you in the chat, brother.
Yeah, shout out Ahuma one time in the building. What's up,
but
man?
yeah, I trust my sources of JP Finley.
Oh, Carlos is saying it was something with his patella as well as the ACL.
Yeah.
Ooh,
they said that there's a possibility
patella.
that he ruptured his patella when he tore his ACL also.
Listen, man, that patella is something serious. The patella is what ruined Surge, coming out of the CFL, and the patella also ruined Victor Cruz. He was never the same after that.
So but I trust I trust JP Finley more than I trust the Bleacher Report when it comes to insider information on the Commanders.
Yeah. Nah, I feel you on that.
I mean,
cool.
it'll be definitely something that we have to monitor.
You're gonna feel crazy when they say, yeah, he ain't playing the whole year. You
heard it here first on Authentic and the Beard.
No, this is a bet right now. We making a waterfly style type bet. The stakes will be later, but if it comes out that report is true, just know that you're gonna owe me something.
Okay.
You know you're gonna owe me something. But so you got Washington at 2, Cowboys at 3, Giants at 4. With the Philadelphia Eagles at 1.
Yep.
I kind of want to take back my Philly at 1 and go man. Yeah, man. I need proof, bro. I need proof.
Proof is in the pudding.
I need proof, yo. You got to show me that you could do it before I start making these projections that you could do it. Nah, dog. I'm going Dak Prescott. I'm switching it up right now. I'm going Eagles get 10 wins, and I'm going Dak Prescott and the Cowboys win the division with 11 or 12 wins. That's where I'm going with it, man. Prove me wrong. Cowboys been balling since Dak Prescott been over there. They've been in the mix. Playoffs,
you know what
story.
You want to know what this has reminiscent feelings of? It was those moments with Authentic when at one point Authentic turns to the camera and says, I knew I should have went with my gut.
Yeah.
Why'd I change last minute?
This time I'm going with the gut. The Dak Prescott and the Cowboys is my gut. This whole Jalen Hurts experiment is starting to remind me of Vince Young and the Dream Team Eagles. You remember that team?
I do.
Off season, they was talking all kind of stuff. Man, we got the best roster. And then came time to play the games, and they was some straight up just garbage, bro. Just straight garbage. And Vince Young's career just kind of went down. I liked Vince Young too, but you just never know.
Monique says you jinxed him.
Y'all going to lose. It's inevitable that y'all are going to lose. I mean, you could be 13-4 and get in the playoffs and losing the first round because y'all are the Cowboys, man. I'm sure you watch First Take. What is it? What does Stephen A. say? What can go wrong will go wrong. Yeah,
that's Murphy's
Y'all
Law.
lost y'all playoff game last year because Dak Prescott couldn't slide in time and y'all couldn't get the ball back to the ref. Granted, y'all were about 35 yards still out and needed a touchdown, so it wasn't that crazy. But Cowboys the Cowboys be Cowboysing. That's just what it is.
Listen, don't start talking about the month of November because Monique. We know
Monique
how
got
she
them month of
feels
November
about that.
stats on. Yeah, you was way off with them choice. She was like, you're not about to be lying on my team. We balls out in November. Shout out to Manscaped one time.
Man.
But I think that's going to do it, man. Like, we 3 hours in almost here, 6 minutes to the top of the third hour, man. It was really great to get back here and rap with y'all on Authentic and The Beard. I see fam is all in the building, like my day one fam out here in the area in the DMV. My fam from the Giants community. I see a bunch of the Washington Commanders folks showed up today, which is really good. I know you need a little bit more support. We've been a little bit lopsided on that. My Giants been, really coming for you, and you ain't had no gang behind you to really back you up. You've been just one dude in the corner. Speaking of that, have you ever seen this fight on the internet where this dude is narrating what he was thinking when these 5 dudes in Philly were trying to fight him?
No.
I'm gonna tag you in it. It's hilarious, dog. But he put in some work solo. Like 5 dudes come, he's backing up, he's throwing mad punches. Definitely held his own. It's one of the most hilarious narrations I've ever seen. But we definitely appreciate all of y'all pulling up, man. It was a pretty packed house all day in the stream. We will be back live on Thursday for our previews. We're going to really break down the previews in the NFC East each game. We got the Commanders taking on the Jaguars, I believe, week 1. Mm-hmm. The Giants are taking on the Tennessee Titans. Cowboys, who the Cowboys got? And I think Philly's got the Lions. I don't know who the Cowboys got week 1, but we're going to break down that game as well, too. And make sure y'all pull up and tune in. It'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday night, right before that Bills-Rams game, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Keep living
Cowboys
those dreams.
Bucks.
Cowboys play the Bucs. So that's a repeat of last year.
Also, before I forget, this Thursday, I'm personally going to be giving away a prize to somebody in the chat on Thursday.
That's what's up, man. So, do we know what the prize will be? Will it be Giants Washington oriented?
Depends on who wins. If a Giants fan wins, then you get the Giants prize. If a
So
Washington Commanders fan win, you get a Commander's prize.
That's a good little nugget to know, because if I win and you sent me like a Washington t-shirt, I'm slapping it. I'm slapping straight up. But y'all heard the Beard. You heard it here first. Make sure to tune in Thursday. We're going to be giving away some items. It'll be for your team, which is really good. So either Cowboys, Eagles, most likely Washington, or the New York Giants, pending the way our chat is set up. There's a lot of Giants fans, a lot of Commanders fans. But definitely make sure to tune in, man. Again, it's all love to be back, man. Y'all know what it is over here, man. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams. Until Thursday, we will see y'all. We didn't give y'all one of these the whole show, so I got to give y'all one right now. Left side.
Strong side.
Y'all know what it is, man. Be good. See y'all on Thursday. Peace.
Peace.